Hello and welcome to Vtuber Talk. I'm your host Jay and thank you so much for joining us this evening. For those of you who haven't been here before, Vtuber Talk is designed after classic late night talk shows. Everything here is live, casual, and the goal is to simply have fun conversations that will entertain people who are already familiar with the guest while still being accessible for new fans. And I think I actually set up everything properly today. Thank goodness, because I've been a bit of a mess lately, but oh boy, I'm very excited for today. So please welcome my guest for this evening, Cecilia Rosenkreutz. Hey, Ceci!
Yay! Hello! Thank you for having me on.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine.
Be here.
So, from all of the brick throw emotes and other wonderful emotes I'm seeing in chat, I can tell most people are already familiar with you, but for anyone who might not be, if you could introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm Cecilia Rosenkreutz. I go by Ceci most of the time, and I am the princess of the Netherworld. I'm a Cyclops, obviously, and I play a lot of retro and horror games. We're getting back on the horror game thing. I was playing just retro for a while, but yeah, I like spooky things and monster girls.
Yes, indeed. And the other thing you like is Pokemon, I know, because for people who were here, well, fortunately only about 2 minutes ago when I played the intro, that I always have my intro of welcome to Vtuber Talk, guest for today is name here, and now insert topical thingy quip here. Here's your host, Jay, and my quip for today was, and now taking a break from Pokemon Road. And 5 minutes ago, when we were getting ready to go live, you were saying, oh yeah, so, I play a lot of different ROM hacks, but I found this browser one recently, and it's a roguelike, and it was like, you playing Pokemon Rogue, Ceci?
Yeah.
We discovered that that's what we've been doing for most of the weekend.
Yeah. I have been really enjoying it. I don't know, there's something about roguelikes that I really like, even though the genre is pretty saturated, I guess. It's still fun. I just like being able to play the same game, but it's slightly different every time, I guess.
Yeah.
I like playing the same games.
It's a healthy amount of randomization and just the progression and iteration. It's really the entire basis of the roguelike genre, and just, okay, this time I'm getting a bit farther, and you get to feel that progress and feel a bit more powerful every time you have a run, but it's also the constant tension of, okay, I don't want to have to start a new run if I can help it.
Yeah, especially if you're doing really, really well. I know that I've been playing a little bit of Balatro as well. I'm not like super good
I
at
haven't
it, but
played
man,
that one yet, but I love card games, and that's the like combine all the card games into one roguelike, right?
well, it's like poker, but if poker was a roguelike and had little like stat boosting cards and stuff, it's really fun. It's super addicting. And I've been also watching a lot of Northern Lion play that, which is fueling my addiction. Poker but insane is a really good way to put it.
Yeah, I've seen just enough streams to know that I have no idea what's going on, but it looks wild.
Yeah, it gets crazy. You can get like really big numbers, like hundreds of millions of points per hand, and it goes crazy.
It's been really cool to see the entire roguelike genre that sort of started as what felt like a subgenre and now become this big thing unto itself, because it's really not something that was, I suppose, fully possible in the earlier days of gaming, just because of, memory, space, and all the different variables that could be randomized. That you have roguelikes in terms of, I don't know if you ever played the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon series.
Yeah, they're super cute, yeah.
I wouldn't quite classify that as a roguelike, but the fact that there's like procedural generation of any sort.
Yeah, it's like baby's first roguelike for when you're like 7 years old.
Yeah.
yeah, but it's still a lot of fun. I really like the story of the Pokemon Mystery
some of the
Dungeon
best writing Pokemon games I've ever seen.
Definitely. But I've enjoyed it coming into its own as well, I guess. Because I don't know, it seems like gaming definitely has like its waves of genres. Right now we're in the farming game wave.
It's been a slow but steady growing wave, because it took a while for that genre to get to the West, I feel, because it was something that you had a bit more in Japan, and I think that what really unlocked it for the West was Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing and the Stardew Valley combined together
yeah.
during the pandemic definitely
Yeah.
did a number on the the Western audience's psyche. Yeah, it primed them
absolutely.
to want to play those types of games. Yeah, because I've been playing Harvest Moon and Rune Factory since
Yeah,
I've
that
been
was
in
the other
like
one I was gonna say. Harvest Moon was there.
yeah.
I think even a bit before Animal Crossing, but it didn't quite
Yeah.
get
Oh
the
yeah. No,
popular
definitely a
hold
lot of
that
it.
Animal Crossing got. But it was here first.
The first Harvest Moon games were purely farming. I think you can marry someone in the second or third one, but it was like very basic. It was very bare bones. It was like for like the Game Boy Color and stuff. I think the second one was? I can't remember. I do know that you can play them on the Switch online. It's kind of fun. I mean, sometimes it's just nice to grow crops, but you kind of feel like you're playing like Farming Simulator 2016 or something like that, except it's like pixels.
Yeah.
But now, yeah, every time I turn around, there's a new farming type game that's coming out, which is fine. I really do enjoy them. But yeah, I think people should really get into Harvest Moon and Rune Factory, especially if you enjoy Stardew Valley. Like that's like the goats. Those are the OGs.
I remember playing the first Rune Factory on the DS because I hadn't played any Harvest Moon games. I'd like seen a little bit of Harvest Moon 64 at a friend's house, but my first home console was a GameCube, so I missed that one. And that, Rune Factory came out, I was okay, it is a fancy, like, sort of combat-based Harvest Moon. It's like, okay, cool, that sounds really neat. And I've played Animal Crossing by now, so this sounds interesting. And it really is that sort of marriage of Harvest Moon, Animal Crossing, and Pokemon, actually, because there's the monster taming system.
The little monsters that you can capture. Yeah.
It was fun. It was a little bit thin at the time, I guess, and I haven't played too many since, but definitely one that
They've
has some
definitely got
good
a lot
memories for me.
better. They've got a lot better. They've expanded on a lot of things, quality of life things. I've played like every single one except the newest one. I still really like the second one a lot because after you get married, you're put into the role of your kid, and then you have to like go to school and you form
so it's
little
like new
friendships.
game. Oh, that's neat.
Yeah,
Okay, I
with all the
appreciate
other
that
little
it
kids.
becomes
It's
almost
so
a new
cute.
game plus of, all right,
Yeah.
you completed this portion of the story, and now you're going to go literally to the next generation. That's neat.
Yeah, and there's like news story stuff as well when you're a kid, so it's really fun. I would recommend people to play them, definitely.
Is that one on Switch, or is that also on like 3DS?
It's on the DS or 3DS or something. I can't remember exactly which one. I think it's the DS. The first and the second one I think are on the DS.
Also, Manuel of Arms in the chat mentions that the original Rogue came out in 1980. I didn't realize it was that far back. I knew that, obviously, the name of the genre came from a game called Rogue. I thought it was closer to the, like, late 90s, but...
that one, like, the ASCII art one?
That, possibly. But even so, that makes it all the more impressive that it was that far ahead of its time because, all right, even if it was around that early, that it took until, I would say, mid-late 2010s to really take off as a subgenre.
Well, people will
like
get really
pioneering.
pedantic when you mention rogue and roguelikes and roguelites. People can get really, really, really like, oh no, this isn't this is that because of one little specific thing. So I don't like to really like get into the whole community. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't really like to get into the specifics, but yeah, there's definitely like a little bit of a difference. I think people would classify a lot of this stuff as like roguelites, probably not roguelikes.
Yes, and it doesn't help that light and like that if you say it fast enough, it sounds the same.
Yeah.
But it's been neat, and I do enjoy seeing the different genres takes on it. And my big hope for Pokemon Rogue is that the Pokemon Company doesn't give them a cease and desist.
Like they did to Relic Castle, yeah.
And
it's like they've done Gary's
things.
mod now.
I'm really scared, Ceci, because it's fun. The hopeful thing is because obviously the fact that it is very clearly advertising, they say, this is a fan game, it is not for profit. That certainly has not stopped Pokemon from being very aggressive
Yeah.
in their
I mean,
IP.
as long as they don't have a Patreon, I guess that keeps them away for a little bit.
Yeah,
I
as
still
long as
don't know
money
what
just
happened.
doesn't get involved.
Yeah, I still don't know what happened with Relic Castle. I did like it. It was a place where you could get a lot of Pokemon ROM hacks and stuff and find out little information. They got a cease and desist though. Somehow Poke
Aw.
Community is still up as a forum, but I don't know. I have no idea what happened. I
It's
don't know if
rough.
it's because they were getting money from it or what, but
Mm,
yeah. Nintendo and Game Freak hate people having fun, and they know that their games suck now, so they have to stop other people from making better games.
uh, uh, I'm really hoping that, because one of the interesting things and something that people were like, oh, Power World came out and it's very obviously Pokemon influences are going to get a cease and desist. And no, obviously they couldn't, because since no assets and names are used, that the big thing that Pokemon and Nintendo are always very, very strict about is when you're using their sprites, their names, their trademark images, yada yada. And that even if it is very clearly influenced and like half step away from the official stuff, Nintendo and the Pokemon Company obviously knew there was no chance for them to actually stop Power World, otherwise they would have stopped it before its release. And
Yeah,
what I'm kind of
definitely.
hoping is that they're just sort of watching from afar saying, okay, cool. So there's this company that is very clearly taking inspiration from us, doing all these things that we haven't done before, and now we're not having to invest our time and money into testing them. So they can just watch Pal World, be like, hey, okay, so people like this, they didn't like that, they enjoyed that set of designs, they didn't like these, and now we can just take inspiration from Pal World and
That
do
would
all
be
these
the
other
ideal,
things.
I
Like,
guess.
I am all for the imitation is certainly the sincerest form of flattery,
Something has to
especially in
change.
business and development of, all right, if you're not brave enough to do new cool things, someone else is going to do them first and get those benefits, but then other people can say, okay, that worked, let's try that too. And I'm hoping the Pokemon Company will be, smart enough to at least glance over and see maybe there's a couple things that they can get from Pal World.
I think so. I hope so. Something really has to change because I'm like a Gen 1 and Gen 2 like favoritist person. Like so I don't know, maybe that makes my opinion invalid, but it's just been too samey, and all the stuff that they've tried just kind of makes it worse. I don't know, it's probably the development time. They do rush things, but man, I think they've had like Legends Arceus, people liked that one a lot, but then after that they've had a bunch of stinkers again. It's just like
Yeah,
you gotta
I'm
really change up the formula somehow, some big way. Even if they made like an MMO, people have been wanting a Pokemon MMO for like 5,000 years, and they don't want to do it. So
MMOs are, of all the criticisms that I have of the Pokemon Company, and I do have many, and at the same time, I'm a big defender of Pokemon and game developers in general, because I think people sometimes get a little overly critical. I will agree that there are Legends Arceus was amazing. I love that game. I wish they had given it 6 months more, maybe a year more to cook, because is it optimized? Goodness, no. There's a lot of things, Scarlet Violet, performance issues. It was kind of sad because the battle system and just the overall balance and the gameplay, the in-battle gameplay of Scarlet Violet, for all of the bugs and the weird videos that people posted online, none of them ever happened in battle. Ever. There was never a crash of just, think of the millions, the billions of permutations of Pokemon abilities and moves.
Stuff happening. Are you talking about like the battle, like itself, like the moves and stuff going off correctly? That's true. But I've seen Pokemon start sinking into the floor during battle.
I mean, like, the battle effects that there's never, I don't know if I've seen a Pokemon game outright crash because some random corner case error was hit. It's not pretty. The graphics, like you said, things sink into the ground and that you can sometimes see through the bottom of the world. But that functionally, it was a sound game. And that the fact that what actually wound up being only cosmetic, that was the only thing they needed to really spend more time on, is frustrating. Because I feel like that should be the easier part.
I look. I think it's more like people just don't want to let the games cook. You got to have like a Pokemon game out every year because like people are like people
Yep.
chomp at the bit. They're like, "Where's my Pokemon?" It's
Yeah.
been like a year. It's been like 6 months. Where's the new one? I do agree with Manuel though. People want to do stuff with their Pokemon other than turn-based battles,
Yes.
and they don't want it just as like a shitty little tiny mini game. Like feed. I liked feeding my Pokemon the little what are they? They weren't Poffins.
They
were the
have like a
little
different
Pokepuffs.
pastry thing. 'Cause
Pokepuffs.
there was Pokepuffs, there was
Yeah.
Poffins. They had I forget what it was in Sun and Moon. But yeah, they had like the little Pokemon edibles, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's cute and all, but I think like if they really brought back beauty contests
Oh
and
yes.
some other stuff that really like happens kind of in the anime, I think people would be very pleased to be able to do some different stuff.
Yeah.
Because we hear about in the anime, oh well, I didn't want to become a Pokemon trader. I wanted
So
to
I
become
did
a
this, that,
like
the
a
other.
beauty
Like let's
contest
see the other
person.
roles in this world. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, with Pokemon Ranger, they kind of did that. Pokemon Ranger is a decently fun game, but we haven't had a Pokemon Ranger in forever,
Yeah.
so...
Rangers' stories were cool. The circles got old after a while. That by the time I was at the last boss, I was not as excited anymore. That I feel like it was a really neat concept that should have been a mini game and not necessarily a full title, or that they
I think
might
they
have
could do
needed
something
more
different with it.
functionality.
Yeah.
But it was a cool experiment. And that's certainly something that I do credit Pokemon for. That the best and worst part about the franchise is that for all of the titles outside of the mainline, that they've had effectively 9 mainline titles. I'm sort of lumping generations together here, but you think of all the spin-offs, and that for better or worse, they generally don't stick to any for more than like 3 installments. It took us 15, 20 years almost to get a new Pokemon Snap. We had the very
true.
successful Pokemon
Yeah.
Mystery Dungeon games that
I
haven't had a
think they
release
should
in
bring
6
back,
years. There have been puzzle games,
Pokemon Puzzle League.
Conquest,
Yeah, yeah,
all of
yeah.
these things. And a lot of them were actually really good. And that, I can see from a creative standpoint why they might say, all right, we did this thing, and now we're going to try another thing to keep it fresh. But then it's also the case of, all right, they had something really, really good, and people want more of it, and that we don't get it. But then, who knows? If they had continued making Mystery Dungeon, would we have not gotten Legends?
I think they should just like try to. I mean, Game Freak's a huge company. They could afford to kind of like diversify a little bit more, have a C team, and then like
Yeah.
kind of
Well, they
cook
did
things a
sort
little
of.
bit more.
They've started experimenting with that and outsourcing because Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl were developed entirely out of house by a studio called Ilka, and that it had.
I don't think I'd give them another one.
I don't know if I'd do it either, but yeah, I'm not disagreeing there. But the fact that they're doing relatively wholesale outsourcing, and I assume they have an amount of oversight, but the mere fact that they are comfortable enough letting other studios touch their IP, and maybe Ilka wasn't the right one here, but that I'd like to see them, try that with other studios for other types of things, especially when it comes to the side series. And I know that I can't recall if Mystery Dungeon was entirely internal or not, but that type of
I
concept.
don't know. I don't know when they started outsourcing anything at all. I knew for a fact like this is definitely like when I knew about it was when they gave Pokemon Go to Niantic.
Oh yeah.
And they kind of flubbed Pokemon Go. People were really mad because they changed how the characters, like the models,
Oh my gosh.
looked.
Apparently, yeah, I saw they did something really weird with the
They made
character
them-
models.
They made them quote unquote more realistic, but what it did was make them ugly, and they also changed like the skin colors, and like people that were like slightly tan before became like the palest white in the world. It was a whole big mess. People didn't want to play the game anymore because their character was ugly now. You think they would have? I don't know. Like obviously, people are gonna like to be cutesy more than they like being like some. I don't know. I didn't like the way that they looked either. They just kind of looked like Unity asset flip type models.
Yeah, I saw some of those before and after images and was like, oh. Part of me almost wondered, was there a bug? Did did something go wrong in that last build? Did QA somehow miss something? Was this not actually what was intended? Because I look at those visuals and say, did you actually have a meeting and say, yes, let's go from A to B? This is what we want.
I think something did go wrong, and that's in the hiring process. Whoever they got to make them.
Oh, dang.
The brown whooper? People didn't call
brown
him
whooper is
Cooper.
adorable. You take that back.
Don't say that about Claude Zyre and its pre-evolution that I forget the name of.
It's still just whooper. It's just,
Okay. Okay.
Have you seen the, somebody did a Dave Attenborough nature documentary thing on Claude Zyre. Have you seen that?
I have not seen that,
It's
no.
so
That
cute.
sounds
I
really
will
funny,
send that to you after
though.
the show. It's amazing.
They're super cute. So, you know what? Whatever you could, like you say about the games, Game Freak still has the ability to pump out some, like, banger designs for these cute little Pokemon.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That I will not accept the argument of, oh, they've gotten less creative. Gen 1 had a literal piece of sludge, a Pokeball, another piece of sludge that turned into other things. They have remained as creative as ever. Are there a couple more simplistic ones every generation? Yes, they had a keyring, but at the same time, there's always going to be more simplistic ones. You can't have everything be, crazy big and sharp pointy claws. That's the point.
Yeah. You have to have the cutesy Pokemon for people like me.
Do you have any personal favorites?
I do. I love the whole Clefairy line. That's my favorite. Those are my favorite of all, especially Cleffa. And I like basically any any pink cutesy type Pokemon like Sylveon. I really like Jigglypuff. I like Skitty. Skitty's super cute.
And this all makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Just looking at your own design that it is red, pink hues top to bottom.
Yeah, I think my favorite color is pretty well known. So it's documented.
Okay, so here's a big question. It's a big, scary question. Congratulations, you've been hired as a executive producer at the Pokemon Company. You've been given an unlimited budget, and you are allowed to design a non-mainline Pokemon game. And it can't be the MMO.
Damn it! That's what I was gonna say.
What do you make? And because MMOs require just that type of continuous support, that's going to be a decade-long project. That you are able to make something, and that you're able to have 2 DLC drops or something. I don't know, but it's not going to be a live service game.
I mean, that makes sense. Then I'm going for the route of really tapping into the Harvest Moon girlies, where it's a very girly type of Pokemon game where you do beauty contests and you have a secret base that you can decorate, and you with your prize money you buy stuff. I don't know how exactly you would end up getting the Pokemon in that game, but I would definitely spec into beauty contests and because in Gen 3 I had so much fun coordinating moves and stuff for those things, and I feel like you could really do a lot with it if you just allowed for stage props and little costumes for the Pokemon and stuff like that. I feel like something like that would pop off. It would be kind of it would be definitely a side game, and it would be kind of a casual type game, but I think that it would pop off.
That would be really cool. Just the idea of expanding the beauty contests into a full game, and that you'd probably have sort of the base design that you had back in Gen 3, but then you'd be able to add more. You could do things of, in anime, there were the parts where they had to do this routine, and that there'd be maybe even rhythm game elements to that part of it.
Yeah,
And
I was thinking mini games to train your little guys further and stuff. I think that would be fun, kind of like the Chow Garden.
And also, I just love your concept of bring back secret bases, please.
Yeah.
And just let us have our Animal Crossing house in Pokemon, please.
I loved having a secret base in Gen 3.
Yeah,
I was
and-
like I like had like specific spots where I was like, these are definitely the better bases than anywhere else.
Mhm.
So yeah, I loved collecting the little Pokedolls. And even in Gen 2, if you used Pokemon Stadium 2, you could get little gifts and you could decorate your room with Poke plushies and stuff. It was cute. It was awesome. So I think we should definitely be able to do that again with how like advanced like things are now. I can't decorate my room back at home. I can't buy Poke plushies. That's just silly.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be really cool. If I could design a game, there's a couple different ones I've wanted. One that I really want is just a proper RPG, and that it's based on someone who is a newly enlisted Team Rocket grunt.
You know, I was really surprised they never went the Team Rocket route. There's like a really popular ROM hack where it allows you to play as a Team Rocket member. Yeah, it's surprising they never have let us play as the villain, but I guess that goes
like
against the
it's
like
a game
friendly
for
nature.
kids. You're not supposed to be evil. You're supposed to be the good guy. But come on, give us one, because I want the RPG option of, okay, I'm a newly enlisted grunt and I can work my way up the ranks. I can become an admin, but then also, do I want to try and overthrow Giovanni? Do I want to become a mole for the Jennies? Do I want to like enlist with law enforcement and be a double agent? Do I want to be a triple agent? Do I
game right now?
It'd be so fun that give me Baldur's Gate 3 Pokemon. Just let me do all of the things.
I feel like your idea would definitely work really well from like one of those text-based MMORPGs they used to have way back in the day. I feel like that would be like it would be like rocket-rpg.com and you
I don't want it to sound that way. That makes it sound really bad, Ceci.
No, I loved those.
Wrong.
No, I loved those. I used to be on text-based MMOs all the time because my computer and my internet connection back then couldn't handle anything else. I was on like the Naruto ones, the other anime ones. I was playing like muds and all that stuff. I was making my little characters. It's a lot of fun. It's you don't have to have graphics to have fun. Reading works too.
Oh, that would be really interesting. Yeah. Oh, and you mentioned the different older sites that I know you have a love. You described it as just reliving the 2000s era of the internet, and that you and I are of likely approximately the same age. That we grew up in the early 2000s and saw the early days of the internet. We remember when there wasn't social media; it was forums instead, Flash player,
personal website stuff,
personal websites, just the beginnings of Neopets, and also just the beginnings of Pokemon. That back in the day, it was supposed to be this fad that was gonna go away, and it was.
Yeah, Pokemania was awesome. It's not like I was like all like I feel like I could have enjoyed it even more if I was like more grown up. But what I did get to enjoy, it was great. I really wish we could have another Pokemania again, like a Pokemon Renaissance.
I don't know if there will ever be anything quite to that degree. That Pokemon is literally now the highest grossing multimedia franchise in history. It beats out Disney, it beats out Star Wars. It is absurd. And that there have been things that have tried to replicate Pokemania, and I think it was a time in history based on part of it being the early days of the internet and the early days of anime and Japanese media finally breaking through into the West, that there just wasn't the type of competition for attention that there is now. And it's really weird looking back and thinking about Pokemania and realizing, oh, that was like a generational historical moment of media.
You're right. It's kind of like the Beatlemania of the 90s. I guess we're gonna have to have like a different some kind of new media, some kind of like internet 2
like
or something
VTubers
to happen.
maybe?
Well, yeah, I think there's a kind of a VTuber mania. I mean, there definitely was one back in like 2020, 2021, 2022. I think it's falling into like the status quo of maybe like not to the level of Pokemon, but it's falling into like a just like being a regular thing instead of like this
Yeah.
big, huge new phenomena. Yeah.
Do you remember what your introduction to Pokemon was? How you first encountered it?
I mean, that's when I was like a little kid. I probably saw the show on television before I made my mom buy the games. But I did start out with red and blue and yellow. So I had all of those, and that's where I started. I did have a lot of Pokemon, like anime tapes as well. So I definitely, I know I watched the show on TV on like Kids WB or something, but I couldn't tell you exactly when that I like got into it. But it was like when I was a little kid. So I don't know. I might not have been sentient at that moment, and then I gained sentience a little bit into playing Pokemon.
Yeah, I was about the same. To the best of my memory, the first time I heard about it was like recess during kindergarten, and a friend was telling me about it, and I saw the cards and the game and then the anime, and I was in the target demographic, and it was all over for me. But at the same time, it's just, I look at things nowadays and say, all right, Pokemon just had its 25th anniversary, it's gonna quickly hit its 30th, and that I'm so happy that kids nowadays get to grow up with Pokemon like I did. That, yeah, it's different. Yeah, the games are different. That their first generation of Pokemon is not going to be Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle, but that I'm so happy that, even if they are not ideal, that every generation of kids over 2.5 decades, which is kind of mind-boggling, has been able to have their first Pokemon game. And that I hope that it will continue for a very long time, because, getting a little bit sentimental here, that for all the criticisms and whatnot, I do believe that Pokemon is absolutely a net positive on society.
I think so too. I would say I'd rather have kids growing up with Pokemon than like I don't know. I'd rather have them be Pokemon kids than Fortnite or something. So the more that children are allowed to get, I don't care. What Pokemon is bad or whatever. They should play it anyway. I guess.
Yeah.
I'd rather that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and just, I guess one of the other early 2000s that I know you mentioned you really enjoyed was Neopets, and I do not know how many hours I lost playing the different Flash games on Neopets.com.
I think everybody did. Neopets was another thing. It was smaller than Pokemon, but like the plushies. There was the magazine. You had the trading card game. There was they had the McDonald's promotion. It was definitely a big thing.
Close to Pokemon in terms of
I
IP,
think they kind of fumbled it.
And then it just stumbled. Yeah.
It got sold to Viacom, and I think that Viacom ruined it. They sold it to Head Start here, and then they really let it die.
And it just recently got reacquired by independent folks, and it's been having this resurgence, and it's super cool.
They've been doing. They're having their first storyline that they've had in fucking ages. Because the big part of Neopets was you would take care of your pets. You play the Flash games, that's true. But there was stuff to do around the site. There were storylines for all the different little worlds, and there were new ones coming out all the time.
Yeah, there were major characters. There was lore.
Yeah,
you didn't have to engage with it.
There was lore.
And that's what I think actually is one of the keys to really good game design, of that it is easy to approach, easy to pick up. You do not need to know all of the deep mechanics or the deep lore to enjoy it, but the depth is there for those who want it. That if you just wanted to play Flash games and have your cute little pets, that you can do that. You don't need to worry about them ever starving. You don't need to worry about them being optimized in any way. You don't need to ever interact with the story itself. But for the people who like that type of thing, it's there for you if you want it.
Yeah. And the lore of it also linked into the Darkest Fairy, the game for the PS2, and there was the Battle Dome, and they have the games every year, the Altador Cup, and it's they're bringing all of that back, and they're making it better again. It's never going to be like it was. I still miss the way that the old site looked and stuff. And they're bringing back the way that old pets looked, but you have to kind of pay for it, which kind of sucks. But still, I mean, they're doing something about it, something to help. Yeah. They're also even look. I say that it's bad that you have to pay for it, but the thing is, It's way better than people were hoarding like unconverted pets like before they changed them to work with like the new little dress up stuff that they added. They converted all the pets, and there were certain ones that didn't get converted, and people were selling them for like real life money, and it was like it was like a whole like that was a black market because people were like advertising it, but like you were only Neopets cool if you had like unconverted pets. So now they've kind of destroyed that, and I feel like that's going to make the game a lot more accessible and nice to like new people.
Also, Aito, welcome on in. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome on in, Raiders Pop-Up Patrol. Hope you had a great stream, Aito. For those of you who just got here, hi, I'm Jay. This is Vtuber Talk, and I'm talking with Ceci HIME. We've been talking about Pokemon, and we're just getting into some Neopets. For the folks that just got in, if you could introduce yourself.
I am Ceci. Full name Cecilia Rosenkreutz, and I'm a Cyclops demon from the Netherworld. Princess even, and I play a lot of retro and horror games, and we're talking about a lot of nostalgic stuff. I'm big on like, oh yeah, this thing that like back in the 2000s. That's like where it's at, which really shows my age, but it's fine.
No, that just that we grew up in a really cool time. I feel that just the fact that we were able to see these early parts of the internet and see how it got to where it is now, and I think that we wound up in a really fortunate timing because folks that didn't grow up with the internet had a very difficult time and still have a very difficult time understanding the internet, understanding computers. But since we grew up with it, even though we grew up with it in its very early states, that we didn't have all the bells and whistles, that we literally grew up having to adapt to technology, having to understand every few years things are going to change. There are going to be new sites, new apps, new technologies, and that I feel like our generation is really uniquely equipped to keep up with things that folks that are just a little bit older than us aren't, and that folks that are a little bit younger than us, that we still have, I guess, sort of a broader perspective of where things began versus where they are now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I wouldn't change it. I just wish that maybe we could go back and then I could live in that time period.
We need
forever.
to figure out a way of just, can we like spin up some 2000 servers and just say, okay.
What we need to do is we need to just delete the internet and start it over again.
Restart, go back to the Stone Age. Let's just have, write in an internet-only apocalypse, and we'll just go from the ground up.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be nice.
Yes, but I know you were talking about like Neopets and stuff. Actually, I'm also people have been recreating Neopets, like the old Neopets. There are several different sites that have done so. Some of them do have a Patreon wall in front of them. Actually, all of them are pretty much invite only or Patreon only. So it's a little bit difficult to get in them, but you can relive the nostalgia of early days. You just have to be on NeoCities and go to recreation sites of old websites. Till, that's so true. I was about to say, I didn't want to hate on the Zoomers, but I've heard from multiple sources that we basically raised only one generation that knows how to use a computer.
Because everything else became so convenient and self-sustaining that
it's like walled little gardens. So nobody knows what a file structure is anymore. They don't know where to go to look at their downloads. It's crazy.
I'm not someone who knows a lot about coding. I'm very good at software, very bad at hardware, but I don't know, a lot of under the hood stuff. But I know enough to get around a computer, and that when I'm troubleshooting, that either I'm able to dig around in settings and find what I need, or that I'm very good at Google. That the idea of not knowing where a file is, or like just how to browse your own computer, that's a little concerning.
Well, that's because people use the kids use like iPads and iPhones and stuff. and then you don't have to do anything with that if you just stay on little apps and stuff. They have introduced emulators to iPhone now though, so I'm thinking we might be getting somewhere. The children were so afraid to use emulators and such different little I guess you would say piracy, like ROMs are still piracy, I guess, but they were so afraid to do anything like that. I think this is going to introduce them to like, oh, by the way, there's like a world outside of your iPhone. There's way cooler stuff if you just like maybe have like even a laptop.
There's just, like you were saying, there's so much cool stuff out there that really were the building blocks for today, and that some things have become just these societal, I guess, pop culture pillars. That you have Pokemon, you have things like Neopets, which has had the fact that Neopets has survived its really absurd story is as impressive as anything, because by all rights it shouldn't be here by now.
Oh yeah, I mean, with how neglected it was, and how like they just let it. Well, I mean, even Gaia, they had to have somebody come in and be like, try to fix the economy because it was so bad. They had fucked it up so much.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I'm not allowed to curse.
Oh, you're allowed to. I've had. Okay. Trust me, I have had people who curse far more than you on this show. You are fine.
Okay, but yeah, it's kind of like that. I was surprised that Gaia is still going, and so many like avatar and pet sites are still going because people crave those. People, the old people yearn to have virtual pets and virtual avatars, and the young children do too. Don't get me twisted. Roblox is like. Just like I told you, Roblox is just Gaia Online for the children.
You said that to me the other day and it blew my mind. And it still does. Just the idea that Roblox is this generation's Gaia, and I had never thought about it in that framing, but that makes me like Roblox so much more. Because I think that that's something I'm that similar to how I was saying, I'm glad that kids nowadays have Pokemon to grow up with, that even if it isn't quite the Pokemon I grew up with, I think that's good. And that Gaia Online, certainly, I didn't actually know it was still going. I thought it had actually properly died out, so I'm happy to hear it's going, but...
Oh, it's going. They're still selling stuff to people. You can buy... I was so tempted, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I was so tempted to buy... they're like little packs that you can get to like create your own items. You can earn them or like win them and stuff. You can like buy them with Gaia Gold or whatever, but you can just like buy them outright with plain old money. It's like it's like several $100s to get like an item thing with like 3 different little, like, you know how Gaia online items work, right? Where it's like it's an item, but each item has like several different little things inside of it, like there's shoes and a shirt, and so you'd have to have like multiple of the same item to get the full outfit. You get like 3 little sub items in your item for like several $100s. I was tempted, but I didn't think that would be the best use of my money for my community. But it'd be so cute to have a little Ceci that is in Gaia Online. I'm sure that they've made copycat items though of VTubers.
Oh,
if I look on there.
Also, apparently Roblox has like they did a collaboration with Hamilton the Musical and recreated historical scenes from the American Revolutionary period, licensed the music from Hamilton the Musical, and that you could play through Hamilton and the American Revolution. And, you know, if that's how kids are going to get their historical education, I'm okay with that. That's
stuff like that
making learning entertaining. That's making learning fun. That hell yeah. That I wouldn't have thought of that particular approach, but I saw it and was like, yes, I want this. I want more of this.
Yeah, they have to do that. I've heard of like, look, I go to different communities that I've done, like I have no like stake in, because I love when I have no stake in something and there's drama going on in that community, and I can
there's
just watch
something
with,
very
like,
comforting of, this isn't my problem.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, the girls are fighting, but I don't have a certain opinion, so it doesn't really matter which one wins. I just get to enjoy the show. It's like that for like, I'm on the teachers subreddit. I'm on, I've been going to the Walmart and Target subreddit to see what's going on in that community.
Wait, Walmart and Target? Walmart and Target
and
have communities?
Yes, of the workers on Reddit.
Oh,
Yes,
oh,
they
okay, that
talk
makes more
about
sense.
they talk about the work culture. But teachers are like, they're saying that they're
Oh my
having to
gosh.
employ different strategies to like gain the attention
Mhm.
of the children. A lot of people are saying that they've started to say like it's time to lock in, and that's what gets the kids to like to like stop. I don't know what kids do nowadays. I guess probably like throwing spitballs at each other, pulling at each other's hair. I guess that's a secret trick
Like,
now
I
that
don't know.
people are saying.
I feel like that's not even a generational thing. I generally disagree with the belief of, oh, kids these days have a shorter attention span than we did because of the phones and whatnot. No, kids have short attention spans because they're kids, because they're not mature, because they're still growing and learning. And frankly, school is usually very, very boring.
It's
And
true. I don't
it,
have a long attention span.
yeah, just
I'm
it,
like
and that
I'm
it has
old.
been a struggle for teachers in every generation of how do I keep my students' attention, and that there are some strategies that have worked, some that haven't, and I see that as a benefit that all right, teachers are online asking each other, okay, what strategies are you using? What works? That this is better because prior to the internet, teachers would be able to ask other teachers at their own school, maybe in their county, or if they go to like, I don't know, state teachers convention or something, maybe. And other than that, it's what you can get in a couple of books. But you can't get anything in real time unless you're actually, having those conversations online. That now these people are able to really do that. And I hope that, with people our age now becoming teachers and people who are able to actually influence everything from curriculum to teaching strategies and culture, that the fact that people are going to be better equipped to share information and findings and results, that could be a really cool thing for just teaching as a whole.
Yeah, I would agree. I think so. I mean, I'm not ever going to.
Oh,
I don't think I would survive a single day as a teacher.
I
I think the class would evolve into some kind of like what's that one book where all the little rich boys go to an island and they start killing each other?
oh
Lord of the
Lord of
Flies.
the Flies, yes.
It would evolve into a Lord of the Flies type
Just
situation
people in my family.
within several minutes.
People in my family are teachers, and growing up, the way I sort of figured out what I wanted to study in college and started to figure out what I was interested in for a career path was not entirely I know there's this thing that I want to do. A lot of what I did was process of elimination. And one of the first big swaths of career path process of elimination was, I know I don't want to be a teacher. I know I don't want to work with kids.
Yeah.
Just straight off the top, okay, cool. So school of education, don't need to bother even thinking about that. I know that I don't want to do anything with like chemical engineering, so let's eliminate that one. Just sort of slowly whittled it down, but I do not have patience for kids. I'm so thankful that people do, but I do not.
Thankfully, my profession was a birthright, so I don't have to worry about that.
Ah, yes, royalty. But,
Yeah.
gosh. So, what? I guess, have you found any interesting drama in the Target, Walmart, or
They hate each
other
other.
subreddits?
Oh, everyone at Walmart hates each other.
I thought you meant that like people at Walmart hate people at Target. I was like, oh, is this like
No, they have a sense of little bit of camaraderie with that. No, but I'm talking about like all the employees hate, like the different tiers of employees hate each other. And like I know that I know this is kind of up to, I guess I have just weird interests because I do like reading up on this stuff. But apparently at Walmart, they don't have just like regular PTO. You have like this thing called PPTO, and your manager has to like approve you for it. And if like okay, so the regular PTO that they used to have got like sent into like the nether realm. It got like sent into the fucking shadow realm and Yu-Gi-Oh! It's gone. You have to like earn this special type of PTO that only your supervisor could be like, okay, like even if you have to like, even if you're like, oh my god, I broke my leg, I'm in the hospital, they could be like, well, and then,
Well,
like,
we're
if
short-handed this weekend, so you kind of gotta come in.
yeah, if they don't approve it, you get like a demerit. You get like a point off, and if you once you accumulate a certain number of points, they just kick you out.
This sounds
They
like
just
one of those. This sounds like some dystopian anime of like, not quite battle royale, but just.
Yeah, so the main takeaway rather, I've gotten from the Walmart subreddit is don't work there because it's just awful. Everyone there is saying how much they like hate their life, and like every single thread, they're like, yeah, I hate my job, everything sucks. And I'm like, oh god, save them.
That is unfortunate.
That's why I like to go to like subreddits that were like hobby related.
Yeah.
Because then it's not dependent on their like livelihood for these people to have like drama and beef with each other.
And that was the basis of early forums. It just interest that,
Yeah.
you know, there were Pokemon forums, there were
Oh
sure Gaia
man, the
Online
Flame
forums.
Wars.
Oh gosh,
Yeah,
yeah.
the Flame Wars and all the fighting people
But just
were
like think
like,
about it, that was a simpler time when those were the biggest blow-ups. That was the worst drama. That was
True.
the limit of toxicity. What a
True.
beautiful era.
The worst you had to deal with was like some guy trying to troll you, or if you pissed off a mod, which in that case you might as well pack
Find
it
a
up.
new forum.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter. That there were usually a lot of different forums, multiples for similar interests, and you know you still
Yeah.
effectively have that of, you know, if you go to a subreddit and do something that pisses off a mod, that you might have to, you know, find something else. But that you know, forums had their own different cultures. They had layouts. You had signatures. Forum signatures
Yeah,
were a big deal.
Oh my god, I loved the culture around forums, creating avatars and siggies and like everything. I think that we should go back to having like forums. Like having forums be the main social media type for people, because I don't know, Gaia Online still has forums. People be talking on there. It kind of pops off. I feel like we as human beings or monster girls or any other type of creature, we were designed to thrive on forums. We weren't designed to have social media. We need to go back to the time when we had you went into certain threads and you were like, I need an avatar and a Siggy set, and then you would like go to like the next forum down and you would talk about like the Naruto episode of that week.
Like, heck, maybe this is how we fix Twitter, that you break Twitter into sub-Twitters, that you go the subreddit route, and that basically, okay, I can go to the Pokemon or Naruto or whatever sub-Twitter, and that, you know, that's where you're going to get those posts there, and that I don't know.
I think it would solve some problems, but I think we should just eradicate all social media
I'm
and then
not
just head
entirely
back to
opposed to that
forums.
either at this point.
Forums and NeoCities. Everyone should have a NeoCities account. If you don't have one, make
For
one,
the
and you can
kids
make
who
a
might
little
not know what a
website.
NeoCities is. For the kids who might not know.
NeoCities is like, so back in the day, you used to be able to get an Angel Fire or GeoCities account, and you would make a little website. You'd have your own little spot on the web with a certain amount of like hosting, like, you know, like image hosting, like type of stuff. That's why people would get really mad at you if you like hot linked to images on the website, because their bandwidth would get eaten up really fast. So that's a little that's a little bit of lore for you. But you would be able to make your own personal site on the web, and you could do whatever. You could have a guest book, you could have, you know, different little like pages for your interest. People used to make web rings so that you can connect certain like sites that were similar. You would have website rankings, so people could vote for your website as like, oh, this is the most informational Shugo Chara website on the web right now. It's like number 45 in anime or something.
And you could even get achievements on some sites that, you know, posted X number of times, or have posted X number of consecutive days, and you would get little badges or flair.
people used to make like little contests on their own personal websites, and then you'd have a little you'd have a page on your website where it'd be like awards, and you could like link to these different things that you had. There were people that would make like little collectible like pixels and stuff on kawaii websites, but that was where I used to go a lot on the web. There was a whole subculture of just making like cute little websites based around like, you know, like, I don't know, like Sanrio stuff and like cute mascot characters and all this other stuff. But you would have like adoptable little pixels that you would put in your toy box, or like they used to call like these little MS Paint like doodle scribblies that you could like put on your page and link back to them, and like have this whole like little group of friends that just liked cute stuff and made pixels and are like quizzes. People used to be really into quizzes. Quizilla was a huge thing. Stuff like that, and just like, you know, different little ways to connect with people that I don't know, we've lost that kind of thing. I know on social media, of course, like your Twitter has all like your likes and your retweets and stuff, but no one can just go to your Twitter page and like click on a link and be sent to your page devoted like solely to like one specific character that you like, or like something like that. Angel Fire is a name I haven't heard in ages. You can I've been having fun going on the Wayback Machine and going to Angel Fire sites. I have different like sites that I used to visit, and like different like kawaii type sites from around the web, and BBSs as well. BBS was a big thing where you could like it was just a forum. It wasn't an actual BBS, a bulletin board system. Like that was pre-forum type stuff, but They called it a BBS anyway. It was like a little forum you could like hang out on, and people would post like different stationery that they got, like Sozai from around the web to put on your website.
That sounds
all this
so
stuff.
nice.
Yeah, and then you could have your own little storefront of little pixels that you made, and then people would put them on their little profile page on the forum. It was really great. I have a whole bunch of this stuff saved on my PC, a bunch of assets from it, and just links to different pages on the Wayback Machine. A lot of it isn't exactly fully there, but it's enough to get like a really good picture of how the website used to be.
Yeah, I was actually using the Wayback Machine just the other day just to check something from a website that I knew had updated since, just like for informational things. But the Wayback Machine is such a fun thing to use and just be like, remember when this thing was around that, you know, that it's just not around anymore, that there was the Pokemon Live stage musical way back in the early 2000s. I don't know if you remember that or are aware of it, but you know, that website certainly doesn't exist anymore. But for just shits and giggles, one day I was like, I want to go see that site, and that looked up, and seeing not only the just that particular stuff, but reliving early 2000s web design is such a trip.
It was such a different
90s
time.
web design, and realizing what was considered cutting edge at the time, what was considered clean, what the limits were, and just we've come a long way.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you looked at different like FC2 websites like over from Japan, like for different games back in like the 90s, the plainest websites ever, and a lot of websites are still like that. You can see a lot of modern FC2 websites that just have that same structure of it, like being how do I say this? It's like, it's so very plain. It's like an image. You have it's something that you can make in maybe like do you remember like Dreamweaver, that
Yes,
program?
I do. Yes, I do. I took a class for Dreamweaver in
Yeah,
high
I did
school.
too. I did too. Not in high school, but I did take a class on it. But it's something you could easily make, like just really like in like a couple minutes in there, and it's like it's just. But I like it.
Sort of
I like it.
It was sort of the predecessor to things like Wix, and just that you have a lot of browser-based.
I used to have a Weebly site.
I took something for Weebly in college, I remember, which was basically, that's another one of the sort of successors to Dreamweaver. Yeah, and it was really, back then, just think about what you could make on PowerPoint, because you know, import an image and that you connect where you want it to
Unless you
go
were
for a
willing
link.
to use iframes. Iframes were like a cutting edge
Oh,
thing back when
oh,
I
that
was
was the
into
advanced
making.
stuff.
Yeah, back when I was like doing my own like little tiny kawaii personal website, like the cool kids that I followed online. Iframes were like the hot thing to do. You would make like an image in like whatever image program of your choice, like Photoshop or whatever, and then you could just like put little like web page, like you could put like text in the little spots on the image, right? Because the iframe would be over the image. It blew my mind. It blew my mind back then. I still really like it as a concept, but I don't know. I just enjoy the aesthetics of the early internet more than I enjoy the aesthetics of the internet now. Even like Frutiger, which is a type of
I don't know that one.
that's like the 2000s where everything was like super like shiny, like buttons were very shiny and like very like I guess real looking. It's around the same time when all the clear plastic stuff was coming out.
Oh wow. Clear neon plastic. That was an very
Frutiger, yeah, the clear plastic stuff is so good. I wish we could get that back as well, where you could just like see the little everything that's like inside of it. I used to
I thought it was
always
super
go for
cool being able to see the circuit boards and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I understand, it did get kind of overdone on a lot of things, but whether it was computers or controllers, I thought that was really neat. And
oh yeah, I had, if there was an option to, because I know my Game Boy Color was like that.
Yeah.
Like I got, if there was an option to have it see-through, I was getting it see-through.
I fully believe if they were to release like, I don't know, Nintendo Switch with those options, so it was the translucent.
Oh yeah, it would pop off.
That you
People
could see
would love it
on the not the Wiimotes, the Switch. What are they called? I'm totally blanking on it.
The Switch pads? I have no idea. I forget what they're called. I forget what they're called too. They're not nunchucks.
They're on the controllers. Whatever the pieces of the controllers are called nowadays. That I want to be able to see that, and that you even have it to a certain extent with a lot of computer cases nowadays. Will have at least one panel usually that is clear that you can see what's on the inside. And I think it's very much the same type of concept.
Yeah.
Probably even more so for PCs, especially since so many people build their own PCs.
Yeah, I like to see what's happening in there.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be private. I want to be able to look in there and see what's going on. What's
and
happening?
If you don't understand how it works, it looks cool. The wires and all the circuity things, it's like that's advanced. It's technology, people.
Yeah. Definitely. Good.
I'm really
like,
surprised
there's
no
a lot
one's
of good
actually
aesthetics.
capitalized on this. It feels like easy money.
You would think so. I think we're going to see an uptick in it. Everything like this goes in cycles. Once it becomes cool to be like nostalgic for that stuff again, that's when everything changes and we start heading backwards.
I mean, vinyl, that entirely suboptimal medium for music, has somehow become just I don't know who was in charge of like marketing or popularizing or repopularizing vinyl, but they've done an amazing job because it's gone so far that it went from being just entirely antiquated to now it became cool, and then it became hipster, and now I feel like it's sort of on the decline again of people are kind of tired of it. But the fact that it was able to have such an incredible resurgence with no technology update whatsoever was just kind of wild to see.
I feel like that's what's going to happen with the old internet. I've already seen it for NeoCities. There are lots of VTubers that have NeoCities websites. I know Rabbit Be Clowning has one. Oh gosh. I'm trying to think of everyone. There's a whole web ring for VTubers on NeoCities. So if you could easily find everyone that's in it.
I would be totally okay with the VTuber NeoCities era. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I think so too.
So, gosh, and did you have any favorite Flash games? Because you mentioned that you played things on Newgrounds, on Neopets.
Yeah.
When it came to the online gaming, what was your jam?
Well, when it comes to Neopets specifically, I used to love playing the ice cream machine and then let's see. There was a snake one as well, that I really liked playing. I really liked playing Eve of Fate's Castle. That's where you have to like do word unscrambles. But when it comes to like Congregate and stuff like that, I was really more bouncing around everything. I know that there was one called and it has an actual release now. Oh gosh, I didn't write this one down. Our Arthilians? Oh my god, what is this? It's like you're at a school and you're like training your little students to go to battle and stuff. I can't think of the name for it right now, but I'll look for it while I'm thinking of some other stuff that I used to play. I used to play basically anything that I saw that seemed like an RPG or something like that on the whatever's on like the Congregate like popular list. I was all over that. I really did like I was like whenever I went to the computer lab at school, I usually got like my work done pretty fast, and then I would head over. I wasn't a cool math games kid because for some reason they let us just go on to Congregate and play whatever.
Probably because whoever was in charge of your school's media department didn't know how to block things. That was when we started entering the dark ages, because I remember in elementary and middle school that you could get to flashplayer.com or Newgrounds or whatever, and that they couldn't stop you, but around the time that I was in high school was when schools started having network blockers, and like you couldn't go to YouTube, or
they'd be spying on you when you're you're doing stuff. It's called Valtherian Arc. Valtherian Arc. I used to play that all the time in computer lab, and there is like an actual game for it now. I believe it might be on Switch. I think.
It's on Steam, apparently.
Now, I don't know the quality of that one, but I did like the Flash game one.
Now, I remember I was really into things like tower defense games. I enjoyed a lot of RPGs, and sometimes just like silly ones. I remember there was what was it? It was
I remember trying to beat the Impossible game a lot.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah,
my cousin
stuff
and
like
I
that.
would do that for ages, and I still remember a lot of them today. That for some reason, Abundance sticks out in my head a lot.
Yeah, but like the first a few, like a good number of them, it's just ingrained in some of my like muscle memory. Yeah, but stuff like that. I will say, like, I used to go onto websites. Okay, so back when I was getting into like games online, this is like when indie stuff really started popping off with like Braid and Fez and everything, and people were like, huh, I guess people can make really good games, I guess. Now, I'm not saying that Braid and Fez are good because I've never played them. I'm just saying that that's what people really seem to like. And people were like, I guess people can make really good games that aren't just like, the Impossible game on Newgrounds where it's like, oh, this is just made to make you angry. And stuff. So after that started happening, people were like making websites just to compile like different like games from like around the web, because like back in those days it wasn't like they had itch.io to like dump everything on, right? Like people were like on their different websites. I remember contributing to oh my god, it's a dead forum now, I'm pretty sure. It was is it like, hold on, Dojin Style. Dojin Style was where I used to contribute games that I would find on Japanese websites that were like either fan games or like bullet hells, that I would just like randomly hop around websites and I'd be like, hey, check out this. And so like that's one of them. But I also used to use Jay's Games a lot, which I told you about. It's a it was like a blog that you could like go and there would be like games of the week, and there would be like mobile games, flash games, and then just like straight up like downloadable games that you could get like from Game Jolt or something.
Now, and it still has what is frankly
it still has the archives for everything all the way back to like 2003, 2004.
And it still has what feels like early 2000s web design of just the way the buttons are laid out, the
Yeah.
way that you have the blog style entries and everything, that this is very simplistic. And
Yeah.
it's so quaint, and just like the little pumpkin guy that you have up on the front just looks like a 2005, 2010, which would make it even later. But
Oh yeah, yeah. It definitely started hitting its like heyday like around the mid 2000s, going into like 2008, 2009, 2010. I think that's when it really everything started like popping off. But I mean, there were games before that. I remember I was looking through the archives the other night, and I was like, oh, I remember Knit. I remember Knit Stories. I remember Aversion. I remember Depict One and a bunch of these Ludum Dare type games, or there's another game jam as well that they also got games from a lot, but I remember all that stuff. And it's just fun to like go back and see like what was the popular game this year. I remember being surprised. Bloons, Tower Defense 3 got beaten out. It got beaten out by some game I'd never heard of before. And seeing that now, it's like Bloons is so popular. How did they get beaten? But I guess it was like, you know, it's a different time.
yeah. And just like Newgrounds, which in addition to being an incredible just place for games, that it had all these silly little animations, and that there were so many that were just dumb, crude humor. Like,
oh yeah, definitely.
That's where some of the early memes came from. Just videos on Flash Player and Newgrounds.
It wasn't there. It was from Something Awful, stuff like that. Yeah, I totally remember it.
Everything from content creators to people who became voice actors that got their start.
Yes, voice actors got a lot of stuff. Yeah,
of just
not just Tomar. Famous Oni plays a side character, but isn't her name like Risa or something like that? There was like a girl that used to like be in every Newgrounds animation ever, and she ended up being like a voice in Skullgirls, a voice in like Disgaea, a whole bunch of stuff. So you know that they really made their mark.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think like, oh, this person that was in probably like, I don't know, Escape the Room number 12 or whatever, that voice acted one line in it, is now Rita-chan. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
And even you see that from the early days of YouTube, of folks who would do anything from Utaite to just anime covers that you see a lot of VAs, and other folks that have gone on to be VTubers. That there's plenty of folks that have...
and there's gonna be VTubers too now that are... Because I know Koki is voiced in Urusei Yatsura, right? Yeah. And so I think people are gonna start getting their start with VTubing as well. And going on to other like voice acting work and stuff. So I don't know, it's really neat to see.
And just, oh gosh, now I'm thinking about all the crazy things from Newgrounds, and there was this like really niche site. What was it called? Is it something random? Or oh dang it, now I'm blanking on it. But it was like a strategy game site that only had this small handful of games that was done by the small team. But they had some really cool ones. There was one called Dib's Dilemma. There was like this
That reminds me of, I think it's called, it might be, is it Hanako Games? Yeah, they made people know them I think for like Long Live the Queen now. That's a more popular title. But they made the Cute Night. I remember playing Cute Night way back. It was looking at it now, I'm like, oh goodness gracious. It was a Princess Maker like type game, but like English.
Yeah.
And so they made a bunch of different games, and I remember like they used to be like, I used to go on the forums for Hanako Games a lot, and it was, yeah.
Oh my gosh, now I'm seeing there's a Dib's Dilemma on Steam. I'm gonna have to look that up. Oh man, what the heck? Are there any?
I was thinking of actually doing a section, doing some streams where I go back through like the archives of like these sites and like grabbing some, because I know like not every Flash game there, like a lot of them are Flash games, so they're not going to be
so
like
they don't
available
work anymore.
But maybe I'll be able to find some archives and stuff and be able to like play them, because I know people did a whole thing about saving a whole bunch of games. So we'll see. I think it would be a fun little section though.
Yeah.
Little stream type beat.
Were you into any particular animated series on any of these sites? Because remember, what were some of the ones that...
I just remember like Metal Gear Awesome and all of those.
Yeah.
From Mr. Aaron Hansen when he used to animate.
Back in the day. Simpler times.
Way back. Other than that, I mean, I wasn't like what is it? It's it was a whole YouTube thing. It's where the pie flavor thing came from. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Pie flavor thing.
Yeah, pie flavor pie. I baked you a pie. What flavor is it? Pie flavor. That kind of stuff.
No,
it was
sounds
part
fun.
Of some ASDF movie. ASDF movie. That's what I'm talking about. I used to watch those a lot too. I would watch ASDF movie and then head over to Kingdom of Loathing.
Gosh, yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, ASDF.
Yeah. Good old times.
And just there's so many fun, silly things, and that you do still get those. That nowadays we've had what was recent? I don't know, digital
Friday Night Funkin'.
Friday Night Funkin'
is a Newgrounds thing that was pretty recent. Yeah, I mean fairly recent.
I didn't realize that was Newgrounds. I'm not surprised. That thing about it in its style now, that makes perfect sense. But yeah, these sites wound up being just these breeding grounds for all these creative people and projects, because that's how you got things out into the world back in the day.
I will say that if people are looking to have a more collaborative community in terms of like making little games and making little animations and such, Newgrounds is where it's at, because new people on Newgrounds actually like to help each other. As long as you're not like a total dick, they're like willing to like share their knowledge and be very helpful and be very like, I don't know, they just like to see people make stuff.
Yeah.
Even the creator of the site, he's just like really into it and like whatever people are like putting up on there. He's very involved. So I'll say that.
That's super neat, because I haven't been to Newgrounds in a very long time. Curious, like what does it look like nowadays? I'm just going there now to sort of glance at it. I remember that there was Flash Player. Yeah, no, it looks mostly
you can't access the Roulette Teed stuff anymore without an account. So you can't play Meat and Fuck Kingdom accidentally on your on your school's computer or whatever.
Do you speak from experience on that?
No, not from that. But I did play I've told this story multiple times on stream. I played a Naruto dating sim, because I was really into Naruto, like when I was in like middle school and stuff. And I didn't know that it was going to be a Rule 18 game at the end. There was no indication before the end.
Oh no, that was the worst. You're just like that. You're playing this game, and it's like, oh, this is really neat, and then whoa.
Yeah, so I was
scared by it.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. So I was playing it, and I like got to the end. I got the ending for the character that I wanted, and it started playing like them having sex. Like, because you played as Sakura, so it started playing them like having sex, and I was like, ah, what is this? God, no! I was so scared. I had to like close the tab, and I was like, I couldn't trust anything after that. Like it changed me.
Oh yeah. There's so many neat things. And when it comes to ROM hacks, that I know you've played a lot of different ones. Do you have any favorites in there? I feel like that was sort of the next iteration, that after Flash games, when people were able to really develop bigger ones, that they became ROM hacks, I feel.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I mean, when people are making their own little games on, if it wasn't I'm gonna make a Flash game, it was I want to make a different type of Pokemon, or I want to make like Mario, but it's actually Mario is like evil and like kills things. And and stuff. I mainly played Pokemon ROM hacks, and I continue to mainly play them. I mean, I'm sure that like there are like a lot of different other good ones, but I just I would say that out of my favorites for those, Pokemon Prism, which you cannot obtain online now because it was cease and desisted. However, I am always willing to hook somebody up because I scoured archives to find a working download, and I saved that immediately as soon as I did. So Pokemon Prism, which is like it's based on Crystal, and it adds a lot of different like it has a whole different story. It has more Pokemon. It has more mechanics. I can actually like in the very first part of the game, you're sent to like find something as a Pokemon. So like as the trainer's Pokemon. So it's like it's all kinds of it's really really cool. I would recommend that one and Pokemon Coral, which actually is now I think close to being completed. But there's like a ton of different good ones. Even if you just want to play something like edgy and bad, there's also a ton of those too. There's like Pokemon Uradia. Pokemon Snakewood is infamous for being like really not only stupidly hard and like for like no reason, but also being like super like edgy, like you're the main character. Like there's like zombies that show up out of nowhere and like start like zombifying and like killing people and Pokemon and stuff. What? It's crazy. Yeah, the zombies just like start appearing, and then like there's a whole like edgy plot where it's like his self-insert is like super powerful. And like there's like you have to try it out for yourself, but it's insanely long, and it's also very difficult, and you can get hard locked like 90% through the game if you do something wrong. Yeah. Well, it wasn't intentional, but it was like a coding error. But you can just and you'll have to like if you hadn't, you'll just have to start all over. If that happens,
and that was one of the risks.
If you didn't do a save
when you have these just fan-made games, that sometimes there would be some type of corner case or code error, or oops, we forgot to give you a way to get off of this place if you don't have thing with you, and that it's just a. Like you said, a soft lock in design.
But there are a lot that aren't like that too, especially when you go on like romhacking.net. Like a bunch of the ones they have on there are just like pretty decent.
Yeah.
So,
and a lot of them,
but I would,
I feel like a lot of Pokemon ROM hacks are how hardcore players of the games are able to get the challenge that they want but can't get from.
Oh yeah,
a
lot of them are super hard.
You have Kaizo Emerald, which is one of the more prolific ones at this point in time, but that a lot of them are built to be very, very challenging. When you look for a Pokemon ROM hack, are you looking for something that's challenging, or are you looking for something with a story? Is it something
I'm looking for something that's different, aesthetically different, something that introduces something a little bit new. When I looked at Coral, there was like a little bit of character customization, even though it's based on Pokemon Crystal. So I was like, okay, I'll check this out, and it ended up being really good. It had good maps. It had some good like gym leaders and stuff. I enjoyed it, and now it's like finally getting finished after years.
Ooh, that'd be another one. Just being able to be a gym leader, because I know there have been ROM hacks where you can become a gym leader. I think there's one called like This Gym of Mine, I think. But that'd be
there are ones
cool
like
to explore in the mainline games.
But yeah, stuff that introduces like a little bit of a new idea. I think I'm okay. I think I'm good enough at Pokemon where it's like I don't have the CC curse of like a hard game is going to it's not gonna like I can do it. It's not gonna make me cry and scream in frustration if it's Pokemon. But I don't know. I just really like having a new experience that's still comfy.
I know you've actually participated in a number of game jams, and obviously without going into specifics of the games themselves, what's that type of experience like? Because most people nowadays know what a game jam is, but that I know I certainly haven't participated in one. That was the one that you did individual based or team based?
Team based. I never did one that was like I was on the coding, because it's so much easier if you like have one person doing one thing and one person doing another thing. Yeah. I was always the art person. And I always what I would do is I would just look for like different like discords for like different game jams or like things on like itch or whatever, where it's like a theme that I was like, I could work with this. And you would easily find somebody who's like, hey, I know how to code, but I don't know how to draw at all. And it's like, okay. It's really easy if you're an artist to find somebody to work with in a game jam. Like, it's super easy.
You're the rarer class.
Yeah, definitely. So I contribute a lot to like sprites and like I would just try to do different looks visually with each one, because I don't know, I liked challenging myself in that way. I really can't get into the specifics of what the games were.
Yeah.
But they did get played on some YouTube channels, because there are YouTube channels that get like just play whatever people make. Like on these jams and stuff, and they typically had positive things to say, especially about like the art and stuff. So I felt pretty pleased with myself. It's a really good way to get introduced to making games, whether it's as like an artist or as a coder, because you're definitely gonna learn a lot and adapt a lot if you join one of these things and you're kind of on the newer side of making something. But the best part is that you don't have to like be the standout star. You shouldn't feel like you're a perfectionist and be like, oh, my game has to like be like the most awesome thing to ever exist. It's kind of like just proof of concept type ideas, and you can expand from there. It's a really great way to get started on stuff. And if you're joining on itch, they even like most game jams like are like, hey, here's some free resources, here's some like different game things that you could like learn about, like engines and stuff. There are ones specifically tailored to like newbie engines like Bitsy, or like GB Studio is apparently one that's pretty easy to make Game Boy type games on. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of like stuff like that it's it was a very fun process. I would recommend it to anybody that has a little bit of spare time.
What is the shortest game jam you've ever done? Because I know that there are some that are like over a weekend or over a day. Some are over a couple of months though.
Mine, like typically, I think that we're like a couple weeks. That was it. I never did one of the ones that was only a weekend only, because that's a little bit stressful.
Those sound very intense.
Yeah.
But it's cool to see what happens there, because obviously when you are so constrained when it comes to time, that people end up having to do rougher cuts of things, but you also just have I guess sort of purer visions in a way, because you have so little time and you just have to go. And it's neat to see what people are able to do under those constraints. But I also totally understand that's a very big challenge.
Yeah, but like I said, like I guess it's probably more challenging on the coding side of things, to be honest. Which I have done a little bit of, like, you know, doing coding for stuff. I have like some dress up game that I still have to figure out how I'm going to like show that to my community and stuff. But I've done a little bit of just messing around with like Game Maker. If you're really bad at coding and you just want to like put drag and drop stuff in, there's constructs for people like me. But like, yeah, even with like things like Godot and Game Maker stuff, there's a lot of like tools you can use to like basically have like the basics down. Especially on itch, people will be like, hey, do you want to make a game that's like Legend of Zelda? Well, here's the basics, and then you can just build off of it or whatever. So there's a lot out there that you can utilize. So it's not so bad. It's not so bad. I think it's pretty doable for most people that know kind of what the process is like.
You mentioned that some of these are specifically using what you call newbie engines. What makes an engine something that is easier for a newbie?
It's more reliant on you like utilizing it's not really code based, like you typing it in, but it's more of a graphical interface, or like it's kind of like you know, like drag and drop. You kind of like put things in a scene, like with construct, and you kind of determine like, oh yeah, you can use like this kind of physics on this object or whatever. With Bitsy, It's a really cute little thing that you can get on itch and make a little game with. It's very bare bones. You can do some 3D-esque stuff in it. You can do some really crazy stuff, but it's mainly like all of the coding type parts are done for you for the most part, and you can just kind of focus on making art and only doing a little bit of coding yourself. That's kind of what I mean by like newbie stuff. And I'm definitely in that category, so don't feel bad.
And obviously, RPG Maker is one of the most prolific in terms
Oh
of game
yeah.
engines, and that even today that there is a whole thriving ecosystem, and that it's certainly known, I would say, for its horror games as much as its RPG games at this point in time.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I think RPG Maker is known for a couple of things. Obviously people are still making actual like RPGs with it, but I see a lot more of like the horror genre, and also not safe for work games because it's so easy to use. So you've got like those type of deals. People do make like cool stuff with them. I've seen a bullet hell done in RPG Maker just recently that I want to try and download because I'm like, what? How
does
there's
that work?
farming games made in there. There's a Legend of Zelda like. Somehow they managed to make a Legend of Zelda like. There's a bunch of stuff that I want to try that you can find on the rpgmaker.net kind of thing where they showcase different games. But a lot of what I play with, and I think when people think of it now, they think of horror games, like the RPG Maker horror games, or like Yumaniki fan games as well. Were super popular for a time, and they're still popular. People are still making them.
Yeah, it's so cool to see those. Of just things like Mad Father have become pretty well known. I forget what was the one that you were playing the other day that has like the big purple.
Aori. Aori. That's like the first one that I saw really pop off over here. I think Corpse Party, the original Corpse Party, was on some kind. Well, it wasn't on RPG Maker, I don't think, but it was kind of like that, I guess. What was it? Was there anything before Aoni that I can personally remember? I know that it got super big on Tumblr. Corpse Party is based. It is. It's a really good game. But yeah, I think Aoni was like the first one that I really saw. And then after that, I didn't play Aoni. Like, even though everyone on Tumblr and Markiplier and PewDiePie were freaking out about it, I didn't play it because I thought the main guy looked really goofy. So I didn't play it until now. It's confusing, but it's a pretty okay game. It has some good ideas. But when they started putting like cute girls in the game, like with the games with Eve and Witch's House, and even stuff like Mermaid Swamp, there's a whole bunch of cute type games. Pocket Mirror, there's a whole bunch of cute girl like in horror situation games now for RPG Maker, and that's when I was like, okay, this is awesome. I have to play like every one of these.
Do you have a favorite in any of these various genres?
I like the Witch's House, and Mermaid Swamp are my two favorites. Mermaid Swamp was very surprising to me because I had never heard about it before, but it was really, really good despite that. I would say Eve as well. Those are like, at least when people think about RPG Maker horror, I do think they think Witch's House and Eve. I don't think Mermaid Swamp is on their mind because it's not as well known, but I would put those up in the top 3 for me.
I haven't actually heard of Mermaid Swamp. What's the story in that one?
So you and your friends are like driving through the mountains, and your car like breaks down, right?
As you do in most horror situations.
Yeah. That's your fault for driving on the mountain on a foggy night, idiot.
And obviously you are far out of cell phone range. Nobody can reach you. You're probably 25 miles at least from any type of civilization.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, you don't have any oil, no spark plugs, no spare tire. You were just raw dogging it out here in the mountains, thinking that you weren't gonna get caught by a monster. Yeah, so basically that happens, and then they're kind of walking along. They're trying to find some place that had like any kind of sign of anything happening, and some old guy's like, oh, did you like break down? You guys should come to my mansion and stay the night until it's morning time. And once you
Ooh.
do, you see that he has a bunch of like mermaid memorabilia. There's like a legend of the mermaid in the swamp, and your friend starts getting really sick and bloated and stuff. And you have to figure out the mystery of these mermaids and stuff and try to like help your friend get out of this situation and go
Rule
back
1,
home.
folks, like, stranger danger is a real thing.
Yeah.
And especially up in the
Especially
mountains,
the
somebody
mountains. Yeah, what
says,
are you
like, hey,
talking
come
about?
to my mansion. It's the two types of things. If somebody says, come to my mansion or come to my cabin, red flags.
Oh yeah, yeah, though,
If
yeah.
they say, hey, I have, like, you know, a family lodge here. It's like, it's a normal house and there's a couple of folks around. It's not a big town, but there's this small town tucked away here. Okay, that's usually going to be fine.
Or be like, hey, I have a cell phone. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
or that
yay,
too, of just like,
yippee.
oh, or there's a gas station. If you know, you might have to walk like 2 miles there, but then take a left and you'll see it. That's good. You take directions. Somebody says, oh, come to my mansion.
Yeah, it did not end up well, obviously, for the characters of the story, and it was surprisingly really good. I'd love to replay it sometime. It's there's a whole lot of them. If you go on itch or Steam, you'll find 1,000 of them and 1,000 different Yume Nikki fan games. And I'm a fan of the Yume Nikki fan games because I feel like they're almost interactive little art pieces. I know some of them include things like, you know, I mean, even the original, like even Yume Nikki had the Turiningans. I think I'm pretty sure that's their name still.
I've never
It's been a
actually played
while.
Yume Nikki. I'm very aware of it. I've seen bits and pieces of it, but that RPG Maker and those style of games just weren't something I really grew up with. That while I was able to find my way to, like I said, Newgrounds and all these places, that I was the most technologically inclined person in my family, and so I didn't have anyone to quite point me in these deeper areas, really. So I find out a lot about them just, well, from stuff like this, of hearing stories or seeing posts, and it's like, oh man, I feel like I kind of missed out on it because I was there at the time. I was there at the time, but I was too normie. And it wasn't even that I was trying to be normie, but back in the day, you had to know where to look for this type of thing because
Oh yeah,
it just
there wasn't
there wasn't social
a big.
media to promote these types of things, that you had to get there organically, and that if you didn't have someone who was really technologically inclined in your family or immediate friend group, just the blind spots that you would have on the early internet, it was so easy to miss all these cool things.
Yeah, definitely. I remember stumbling across Yume Nikki because somebody in my school was talking about it. And like one of the weird kids was talking about it. I managed to overhear it. And from there I just kind of was like, is there anything else like this? And like, you know, back then you could find little forums or image boards and stuff that people were talking about it. So I just kind of went off from there. Now you can find them almost anywhere, and I think it's really just a neat, even if like, you know, they include things like enemies that chase you and kill you or send you somewhere else. A lot of it's just like wandering through these like little artsy dream worlds, and I like seeing what people come up with. I like seeing what, like, a lot of these things are like obviously inspired by people's like actual dreams and stuff. So
yeah, there's just these were the early iterations of, you know, self-inserts. Obviously, fan fiction has been a thing long before that and continues to be a thing, but that it's sort of the logical evolution almost of fan fiction, or just self-insert stories, that people wanting to not just write it down, but to actually make it a game. And that you can definitely see them as artifacts of their time, both technologically in terms of their writing, and that some of these would be really, really simple and easy to do. Others would be just incredibly obtuse. Of, you feel like you need a guide. There must be something, because you know,
yeah, they definitely
these
took a
people
book,
are
like a page from the book of like adventure games, point and click adventure games, stuff like King's Quest, where it's like, oh, you didn't click on this pixel
thing?
like 2 hours ago.
Yeah, and that it makes perfect sense to the developer, to the writer, because they're writing it, but they aren't someone who is trained or very experienced necessarily in this type of development.
Mhm.
So what they consider to be very intuitive or obvious or logical in the story, they're kind of too close to the material, and that you end up seeing these games that are really, really cool if you know how to navigate them, but that some of these you just need to find the guide because there's going to be something really small that if you don't
Yeah,
do it, you're not going to
definitely.
get the true ending. And just, but
It's
but that's so
using a
quaint in and
guide
of
with
itself
these
of like
is
realizing this is where people got their start. And it's not even a
yeah.
criticism that, oh, they didn't design their game narratively well or they made it too difficult. It's just that's that's where people began, that you have to start somewhere. And no, you're not going to be necessarily the best script writer, developer, or thinking of, all right, how could anybody else play this game? And especially if you see people making sequels of their games, that you can see their growth.
Oh yeah, there's a I think her name is Uri, who made a bunch of like games in a series called like there's like the Sandman, the Crooked Man, a bunch of them, and apparently like she had done some games before that series that weren't really as good. She also did Mermaid Swamp, and I think
Mm.
that Mermaid Swamp was made like right before the series that she's best known for, and I think that it's better than that series. But people are pretty adamant that the little like man series that she did was like her like the best, and she like grew a whole lot, but it's still very apparent if you played her early stuff. You just kind of have to keep making games, just like you
Hmm.
have to keep making art to get better. You just have to keep
Yeah,
making
just
games.
that you're going to grow with practice, and that you, I'm sure, so many people who grew up making it these RPG Maker games are now in the industry or are still doing indie games, but are probably making some really, really cool, really polished stuff.
Probably, yeah.
Gosh, there's just for somebody like me who hasn't really played any RPG Maker games. Do you have any really good beginner ones? Like where's a good entrance to that rabbit hole?
Like an easy one, Space Funeral that Joey mentioned is really good. That's more of like a just like a weird RPG type thing. If you're talking specifically about the horror, like RPG Maker horror, they're all kind of obtuse. That's kind of just a staple of the genre. I would say, I mean, I think Eid was probably one of the easier ones. Witch's House is pretty easy, but that's only because I know exactly what's going on
Mm,
when I play it. I would say Eve is a good start.
mm.
I think that it has a good story. It's got good art. It's pretty straightforward. Maybe there's a few puzzles in it where it's like, they kind of have to scratch your head. But definitely, I think that's a good place to start.
Mm. Gosh,
And
there's just so
honestly,
many.
if you just go over to the RPG maker .net, I think it is, you'll find like a whole bunch of entries, and you can just kind of guess based on what's popular and what's not, what's kind of worth your time.
Yeah. There's so many cool things. And
Oh, apparently To the Moon was made with RPG Maker and Hylix, which I was looking up to see if Hylix was made with it, but that's another one I'd recommend. But apparently To the Moon is as well. So that I've heard is a very good game. It's more of like it's not a like an RPG Maker horror game or anything like that. It's kind of like just an emotional experience type game.
oh wow, and that it's been ported to iOS, Android, and Switch.
Yeah, that's one of the like. Have you ever played Dan the Man? I have not played Dan the Man. That's one that I have not played, but there's a lot that I haven't played. To the Moon was one of the games that I saw people like gushing over. Back when I was like in my, I have to find indie games to play. I'm pretty sure it got a decent amount of awards. People really like it. It's apparently very touching. I still need to play it. But based on what everybody else says, I'll just go ahead and preemptively recommend it.
Mm, and just sort of hopping from one medium to another
Mhm.
area of interest that I know for both of us that has seen a lot of incredible growth from when we were younger to now is anime. And that
Yes.
just, it's gone from being this quirky, very niche thing that you had to either find one of a half dozen VHS tapes at your local Blockbuster or hope that you might see something get brought to Toonami or Adult
Yeah.
Swim and that you'd only get a couple things. It was usually just going to be generic shonen, but then slowly but surely we got more and more and more, and now we have so much more anime not only being licensed than ever, but produced than ever, that, you go back and look at, okay, how much anime aired in Japan in 2007, and it's like 25 shows a season. Nowadays, you have twice that or more. And you mentioned that one of your favorite series of all time is Gurren Lagann, which absolute
Yes.
classic.
Yeah.
For being 17 years old, it holds up remarkably well.
There was a time when a lot of contrarians wanted to be like, "Oh, you're like not a real like I think people were like putting it in the same like, oh, this is like a mecha anime, and the mecha nerds were like, oh, this isn't a true mecha anime, you're a faker, you're a fake fan, and you're horrible. But I think people have come back around. They're not contrarians anymore. They found the people that like to be contrarians online.
We've finally gone full circle on it.
Yeah, they kind of find something else to be a contrarian about, and then at that point they kind of like give up the ghost,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh yeah, this was actually good, by the way, and then they move on. But yeah, it's something that really helped me out during like a pretty rough patch in my life. It's very inspirational. I would say if you need something to watch that will like amp you up and get you to like kind of think about changing your ways, I guess.
And just
I guess that's the way to
power
put
through
it.
episodes 8 through 11. It's a
Oh,
bit
yes.
rough. I remember the first time I watched that series, I almost
I
bounced
cried.
off of it. Well,
I cried
well,
for real.
You cry there, but then the episodes immediately following that are just kind of repetitive and a bit mopey, and it takes a while for things to pick up again. And that there was just that like 3-4 episode span after crying that I remember the first time I watched, I almost bounced off the series, but my friends were like, no, just keep going. I was like, okay, and
It's
fortunately,
really worth sticking to.
it then gets back on track and then just goes from there, and that it ends up being such a cool series. The animation, the music in that series, oh my gosh.
The music's
Obviously-
what I think really gets you. Yeah, that's what really, like, I don't know. I listen to the OST just like while I'm like drawing or doing like stuff around the house and everything. But yeah, I like the music is what really got me. I don't know. It really has a good score for like setting the mood. Even if it's like trying to like pump you up or it's like trying to make you cry. Because I cry like a baby. I cry like a baby when I watch Gurren Lagann. It's so good. It's one of the best Gainax. Like, I would say it's one of the best. I know they did a lot of good stuff, but like obviously they have and Trigger
One of
as
the
well.
last Gainax things.
It was, yeah.
Is it,
They split up.
yeah, and they did, for those who are familiar with anime studios, that Studio Trigger is the spiritual successor to Studio Gainax, and it can very much be seen that it's still the
Yeah, they still got
they've done
Imaishi
many
there doing some
things.
stuff.
They still do a lot of things that harken back both stylistically and thematically. That my running thing is, if it's Gainax, if it's Studio Trigger, it's always aliens. It's always aliens. That's the only criticism I have of their things. I love their work. They do
There are
so
a lot of
many
aliens.
off-the-wall things. They do so many cool things, and that it just I wish that they used aliens as their explanation just a little bit less. But there's still always really cool stuff.
But yeah, I mean, as far as anime goes, besides like Gurren Lagann, that's probably the most shonen type show that I've really been into. Besides Full Metal Alchemist,
Which is
I
just
watched
an
it for the
all-timer.
first time. Yeah, I watched it for the first time actually just a couple of years ago, and I was like, how did I not watch this before?
I'm assuming
it was-
this was Brotherhood.
Yes, yeah. I do know about the original And
And
I have seen some of the original, and I feel like some of the episodes are paced a little bit better because they didn't have as much to go through.
yeah. I mean, the original
But
isn't bad. But
no, it just
Brotherhood's
gets
better.
a little bit weird.
Brotherhood's just better.
I kind of like some of the ideas that they had to like be like fill in the blanks, but I don't like some of the others. But yeah, that's about like the two like most shonen type. I really like surreal stuff. I like surreal, sad, strange type anime. As far as my recommendations go, stuff like I really like Kino no Tabi. I like obviously Lane, Serial Experiments Lane. I know she's gained kind of like a weird, like, I don't know, she's gained some kind of like cult status, which is very Lane appropriate. But I just genuinely like it as well. I used to go when Gaia was having their costumes, their costume like anime costume, like, because you can dress up your avatar and enter it in competitions, right? When they used to have the anime category on, I would always dress up as Lane and the little bear Kiku and stuff, and have like a little set piece around me and stuff. That was my go-to. Kaiba Girls Last Tour, Angel's Egg is a great OVA if you don't mind just looking at really pretty animation, and you don't like mind that there's probably about 3 spoken like different lines of dialogue in the whole thing. Hells is amazing if you like Monster Girls. It's another OVA. And yeah, just stuff like by Satoshi Kon, which I think everyone kind of knows that Satoshi Kon has like a huge list of bangers.
Yeah.
Whether that's like Tokyo Godfather or like the essentials like Perfect Blue, Paprika, all that. But I like Tokyo Godfather's the best. Carnage, hello there. Hello. Yeah, and I would just say, Mononoke is another good one. Mononoke has a lot. So Mononoke is very inspired by Japanese mythology and stuff. So I like, look, there's a bunch of recommendations I could give, but if it's like, if you go on my anime list and it's in the surreal anime little collection that somebody made, I probably enjoyed it.
Have you seen the Tatami Galaxy?
No, but I have a very favorite YouTuber and streamer. Demolition D used to be known as Douchebag Chocolat on YouTube, and Tatami Galaxy and Ping Pong the Animation are 2 that he really recommends, and I gotta get on that. Because I usually do take my
Ping Pong, not all of it, but that is a strong cup of tea, especially visually.
Yes, yeah, I tend to take anime recommendations from him. He has some good taste. He's turned me on to some like good shows and stuff. So Abana, yes, that's another one that he recommended, and I watched it. Amaishi is also on Abanabashi. I think that, hold on, I'm pretty sure that's correct. Let me go and fact check myself really quick. Magical Shopping Arcade Abenabashi, not Abano, Abenabashi, yes. But that has a Maishi on it, which you can usually tell when he's doing something for anything, because like it just looks better, like Dead Leaves. Dead Leaves is incomprehensible. But it's just weird. It's just strange. But man, the animation goes hard, so
for those who aren't familiar, Tatami Galaxy is definitely a surrealist one. Without going into heavy spoilers, it's not it's semi time loop stuff, and I won't say much more than that. But it's very interesting, very enjoyable. It's one of those shows that I would say you should probably watch in a relatively short amount of time, or at least not have too much length. Like, don't watch 2 episodes and then wait a month to watch the next couple ones, because there are pieces and elements of the episodes that if you remember, you'll see certain things, and I think it makes the series more enjoyable overall.
I love that kind of thing where like on your second watching you're like, oh, you're connecting the dots and stuff. I love that stuff. It's one of the reasons why I've been loving Twin Peaks, I think, so much, because I watched the first season entirely. That's another CC recommends. I know we were talking about anime, but Twin Peaks is very important. It's very it's very good. One of the things I watched the first season like entirely, and I was like, I'll go back and like look at things because I wanted to watch it with some other people to like
Especially
kind of
for
introduce
if
them.
it's a mystery series that
Yeah, it is.
it-
Yes.
that's one of the best types of things to go back and rewatch because you will see those clues or realize those things, certain subtle behaviors if there's someone who turns out to be not who they were pretending to be, and that's always really, really cool to just go back and analyze and be like, okay, they did drop these hints, or if you see that in this context, or if you know their mindset, this action makes sense, and that's what makes a series really good to rewatch because I don't rewatch many things. It needs to be something that has something more for me to look for.
Yeah, I would say so. Like it's just really fun. But yeah, as I was watching that through again, I was like, oh yeah, I was catching little things. It's always great when it's always great when a series is able to hide something so well. They have like, of course, you have like foreshadowing and like clues and stuff, but when a series is able to hide little details like that, I love that so much.
Yeah. Now I'm sort of looking through my own anime list right now and being like, okay, what are some other like surrealist ones or weird ones that one that I always point people to, it's not a surrealist one, but one that gets better upon rewatching is Baccano, which I hold up as
somebody was talking about Baccano on my timeline. I can't remember who
someone
it
on
was,
your timeline
but
has
they were
very good taste.
yeah, they were like saying like, oh, people don't know about this. I should do a stream where I tell you guys about Baccano. Who was that? Was that RYUWUNA? Maybe, I don't know. Everybody kind of
It's-
gets mixed up
It's
together,
16
but
episodes because I consider the 3 OVAs required viewing, and it is some that because it's basically it staples on an epilogue story that I think actually ties things together much more cleanly than the actual normal end. Actually, no, it's 13 episodes because the main series is 10, and then there's 3 OVAs, so it's just 13 total.
oh, okay,
So
gotcha.
it's very, very short, and that it is one of the best non-linear stories I have seen in any media. And that's why I say it's also one of those ones that you need to watch in a short amount of time because you're jumping around this timeline so much that if you wait too long to go from one episode to the next, that you're not going to remember what's going on because it's a lot of whiplash, and that's also what makes it better on subsequent viewings. But the first watch is still it's still very comprehensible. It's not that type of difficult, and the way they handle their characters and reveals is really, really cool. And that there is some mystery to it. It's definitely not surrealist, but there's a lot of different things in seeing how the different timelines connect and the characters interact and why certain actions impact, influence, and domino into each other is such a fun thing to see.
I mean, that does sound pretty fun. It's definitely like I am kind of behind on my on my weeb media. There's like certain things that I've watched over and over, and then like I have the big long backlog where it's like I'll get to it eventually. Hensemi, Mr. Donut was something that I saw on the same list that I was looking at. It's not something that I've seen, so I don't know how it is, but apparently it's weird. Apparently it's weird.
Have you seen Steins Gate? Because that's one of just, another visual novel, like you were mentioning earlier.
Yeah, I have not. I have not. Though apparently it's really good. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of ones that I just haven't seen.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I'm not like.
No, don't worry. I'm just saying that there's so much stuff, and like I was saying, there's even more than ever now that we live in a embarrassment of riches era for anime and for media in general that you just can't keep up with everything. It's not possible. That there's going to be amazing stories and experiences that you will not be able to see, watch, play, encounter because there's just not enough time. But there's so much cool stuff, and that you can find something that is suited to your taste, whatever genres you like. That there's so many cool things. Are there any shows whether they be surrealist or otherwise, that you feel are just completely underrated?
Like in general,
Yeah.
not just anime.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Okay, Wander Over Yonder is a really good cartoon that got canceled on its second, it had its second season. It was going to have a third, and it got canceled. It's a really, really good
I've
cartoon
heard that name
from Craig
before.
McCracken, and
Oh.
it's so fun. It's so fun, and there are lots of good little character moments. The animation is nice. It's very, very good. I would recommend it, and people have seemed to have forgotten about it a little bit. I really wish they had given us the third season. I feel like it was starting to really shine, and it could have become way more than it did. But Craig McCracken has a lot of canceled stuff, unfortunately, I think.
Yeah, Craig McCracken, I'm just bringing up his filmography because I know some of his...
Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah, Powerpuff Girls is what he's known
Foster's
for.
Home for Imaginary Friends. His wife helped him with that one. His
Dexter's
poor
Laboratory.
His poor wife can't seem to get a show off the ground because they keep on canceling stuff on her or not accepting her pitches, even though I think they're really good. So I feel really bad for her.
Yeah, Chowder regular show that did Two Stupid... Wow, I didn't remember Two Stupid Dogs. This guy did a lot of stuff for early and...
Yeah, he's done a lot of stuff in general,
mid-2000s Cartoon Network. And then apparently just finished one called Kid Cosmic.
Yeah, Kid Cosmic is another one that I think is underrated. If people have watched Wander Over Yonder and they liked it, I think they would like Kid Cosmic as well.
I'm actually just looking at the Wander Over Yonder page right now. So, it says, series follows Wander, a nomadic, helpful, overly optimistic intergalactic traveler, and his best friend in steed, Sylvia the Zbornak. Zbornak.
Yeah, Zbornak. Yeah, that's what it... Yeah, Zbornak.
As they travel from planet to planet, helping people to have fun, play, and live free, despite the continuing encroachment of Lord Hater, one of the most powerful villains in the galaxy, and his army of watchdogs.
It's super fun. It sounds a little bit like kiddie, but it's not as much as it kind of makes itself seem. It has especially Lord Hater and Wander, they have such a good relationship where Hater is genuinely just a hater and Wander is the sweetest soul imaginable, and he just he still wants Hater to be his friend. That's all he wants. He wants Hater to be his friend, despite him taking over planets and stuff. It's so good.
Gosh, I'm glad that there's kids shows that have depth still. That there's a lot of really cool things out there, and it's always really sad when you hear about these things being canceled. And that fortunately many do get to see their conclusions, but there are still plenty that don't. That Avatar: The Last Airbender is pretty prolific. You had She-Ra and the Princess of Power. You had Gravity Falls. You have Steven Universe. That there's a lot of really, really cool pieces of Western media that are aimed at kids that have that depth, that are able to really actually be something that not only adults and parents can enjoy, which I think is the mark of any good children's media, that if you're making something for children, it should still be enjoyed or enjoyable by the
right
adults
now
in the
everybody's talking about Bluey for that. I'm gonna say that I didn't ever watch Bluey, but I had for Weed Day I did have one edible and I watched Bluey on it, and I did end up enjoying it at that point in time. Now I don't know if I would enjoy it not inebriated.
I've seen
but
two
while I was
episodes shown to me by friends, and it was quaint. It's not something I'm going to watch in my free time, but if I'm hanging out with my younger cousin and they put it on, I'm not going to be complaining.
It's good for kids, and it's where you can just watch it and be like, this isn't offensive. This isn't Cocomelon.
Yeah,
so...
this isn't grating on my ears. This isn't something that is completely inane and just and don't get me wrong, I can enjoy some good, just random comedy kids media. That not everything needs to be a teaching moment, I do appreciate if you can do that. But I'm totally fine with, classic Looney Tunes slapstick stuff. You don't need to have your educational content. But from the 2 episodes I've seen, Bluey seems to have done something right, and that I've gotten texts from one of my very good friends who is very picky with his media, who has a young son, and he texts me and he's like, dude, Bluey's actually amazing. What the hell?
Yeah, a lot of parents seem to have that thought. It reminds me of when MLP just started airing, and people were like, especially the guys. I know Bronies kind of gave a bad name to MLP Gen 4, but I was part of the Brony thing, so I think I'm like the shining beacon of light amidst all of the annoying ones, and so people should base their judgments off of me instead. But people were like, "Oh my god, this is actually really well written for a kids show or whatever."
So the lore goes that new MLP series drops, and that people are making fun of. It's like, okay, here's another commercialized thing to sell toys, and that people watch it, what is supposed to be ironically, to make fun of it, of like, okay, let's watch 2 episodes and see just how bad this is. What slop has Hasbro just tossed out? And then people going like, wait a minute, that was actually pretty good.
Yeah, and I definitely, it's one of my favorite shows. I mean, I liked MLP, like I liked My Little Pony before Gen 4. I liked the little toys and stuff. But when Gen 4 came out, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. It's like, it was so cute. It was well written. The characters were, like, everything was, like, done just, like, really, really well on a level where it's like, you could definitely vibe with this as an adult. Like, even though it's supposed to be for, like, kids and stuff. And it stayed that way for a decent amount of time. I used to be a season 1 to 3 strict purist, but now I'm starting to see that there are episodes in season 4 where I'm like, oh, this is good. This is pretty good still, too.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah. It doesn't fall off until... I mean, and there are a lot of people that say it doesn't fall off at all, but it doesn't fall off until... probably around season 5. There are 9 seasons of it, so
wow.
It went on for a while.
Also, Waffleina Toaster, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome on in, Waffle Raiders.
Toaster. Yeah, hi. Hello, Waffle. Oh my god. Yeah, Waffle's
also,
super
I said
cute.
Waffleina Toaster. Waffleina Toaster, duh.
Waffle, yeah.
It was the capitals, because the capital I and then lowercase a, so I'm reading like Ina. But it's in a toaster. Of course I should see that.
You might be right. I'm not... I say people's names wrong all the time, and they have to remind me. So,
well, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome on in, folks. I hope you had a good stream. Please do take care of yourself. If you need to get some food, get some water, get some rest, please do so. And really do appreciate you raiding on in. I'm Jade. This is Vtuber Talk, and I am talking with Ceci, HIME, Cecilia Rosenkreutz, and we were actually just getting to what I know is one of her just deep passions, and that is My Little Pony. And I will admit that I was not a brony, but I saw all the hubbub happening over Friendship is Magic. And was like, okay, fine, like I'll watch this, I'll see this, and that I watched the first season of it just to like see what is this thing, and was like, wow, this is some good children's entertainment. That's neat, and that it was wild to see the explosion of the brony as a fan of just
honestly that was
like,
kind
from afar. It's like, what an incredible case study.
Yeah, we were talking about Pokemania earlier. That was kind of a mania, but the merchandise, like, okay, My Little Pony was still fairly popular with like children, right?
Yeah.
With like little girls.
It never really waned in popularity.
Before it came out, oh my god, the amount of merch and stuff. People were making like custom plushies. Obviously, you had all the cons that sprung up.
Not only did you see merch at cons, that entire brony-specific cons. And even today, a couple of them still survive.
There are a lot that are still hanging on. I know a couple of big ones have now like exited the scene, but just last year, a new one started.
That is so it's wild, but it's really cool of just, hey, people found a thing, and that obviously you hear some of the horror stories of, okay, some people are weird, and that just statistically speaking, anytime you have
every
a fandom,
fandom.
that just statistically speaking, if you get 10,000 people that like a thing, couple of them are gonna be not great people, and they're gonna make a bad name for the other 9,995 people in that fandom.
Yeah, basically. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff that's come out of like My Little Pony. There's lots of nice little fan games. There's a lot of cool art. I don't know. It's just like it was a great thing to be around. If you were like an artist and stuff, like everyone drawing like the cute little ponies and stuff. It was such a great time. Everybody was ponifying different characters from different fandoms.
I am so surprised that there are not MLP VTuber models. Or I'm sure there's like a couple.
I have one. I have a pony model. And I know there's a big one. Her name is Ninny. Ninny Draws is the one that made my pony model, and she is specifically a pony streamer. She doesn't even have like a human version. She's just a pony.
I'm not shocked to hear that there are a few. I guess I'm surprised that there aren't more. That I feel like.
True. Yeah, I think a lot of it is because a lot of the people left when G4 ended and G5 started. I don't like G5 at all. I hate the art style. I don't like what they did with G5 is they started to like say, oh, well, the reason why the G5 like started, like the characters are in this situation is because basically Twilight and all of her friends failed at keeping friendship alive, and all the ponies started hating each other again.
We had Pony-pocalypse, like this is post-apocalyptic ponies. Friendship is dead.
Yeah, basically there was like one alicorn pony that came around and was causing the ponies to be racist to each other, basically. And
Wait,
apparently,
is that
Twilight.
how the series ended? The series ended with them all.
No, not G4. No, G4 ended with her uniting all of the ponies and like basically defeating all the big bads and being super strong and being the queen of friendship. And then G5 was like, okay, but what if there was one alicorn that came around and despite Twilight having like 5 of her like friends and then having the school of friendship and teaching all the races to be like dragons and everything to be friends with each other. What if one alicorn that like nobody knew about till now just like was like, oh hey, that dragon said you stink, and then caused like that's not exactly what happened, but basically she was going around town.
Twilight saved the day and everything, that at some point in time a few years
not even
later,
at some point, like pretty recently after, because everyone was still like alive. Twilight and all of them were still like alive, and I guess they just didn't do anything.
And they weren't able to say, and they weren't able to stop it again.
Yeah, so it basically like totally shit on everything that G4 set up.
That's really sad, and like like it, because it's one thing if you say, okay, this is literal next generation, that these characters aren't here anymore, this is a different continent, those characters weren't here and they weren't able to save this continent, and that's how we wound up. But to afterwards say, by the way, that big final battle that was the series finale didn't matter, they actually failed.
Yeah, basically that's what happened, and so people kind of fell off of the whole thing. So that's pretty much why like pony stuff is like in decline now. People are still clinging on to G4, but it's just not the same, honestly. People don't really want to like the toys. I used to go to any retail store and like there would be tons of My Little Pony merchandise for G4. You could buy so much stuff. You go to your Walmart or your Target now, and what would have been like a whole section for My Little Pony toys is now like one section of one shelf for G5 stuff. It's not going well.
Aw, that's disappointing. But also, just in some ways, like the fact that they started a series with basically, okay, this is actually pony dystopia, that everything is bad.
Oh yeah, the movie,
that's kind of
literally
bold in its own way.
Well, the thing is with G4 is basically I mean it's there was like I hate to say it like this, but there was like pony racism, and they managed to like all the ponies like managed at some point like with under Celestia and Luna managed to like start getting along and stuff like that. The different like Pegasi and Earth ponies and unicorns and stuff. They used to hate each other, but now they're fine. It's mainly just like the dragons and everybody like the other types of creatures that kind of aren't like, you know, being so like, you know, they're not like really. Ponies have their own society, they have their own thing and stuff. And then when the movie for G5 came around, the ponies, like all like the Pegasi and the unicorns and the Earth ponies, they were like, oh, if you go over to the Pegasi, they're gonna pick you up and they're gonna like fucking drop you on a bunch of sharp rocks and stuff. We have to have defenses against the unicorns and their magic. And like the Earth ponies literally had a whole like technology boom to make tech for them to ward off other ponies. And so that they could all live in their
revolution.
Yeah, so they could all live in their segregated societies. I'm not joking.
This is
so it's like
messed up.
there's a whole musical number. There's a whole musical number about the guy that goes in charge of the Earth ponies when like the main character is off to try to like find a unicorn, like find a unicorn stumbles into Earth pony land, and she like realizes, hey, maybe like the unicorns doesn't seem that scary. She's not doing all the scary stuff. So they go off to try to like take her back to like Unicornville, and then like they kind of meet up with other people on the way. The main guy, like the main villain guy, has a whole musical number about how with marches, the ponies are marching together to try to defeat like the unicorn menace. I'm not. Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, they went full Scar and hyenas.
Yeah, basically, it's insane. So, it's a very wild way to start your
show. Like, that is incredible in multiple senses of the word. Just like that is. I feel like I'm gonna need to watch a couple clips of this just to understand, because I believe you, and I'm looking actually at a wiki page right now, and yeah, this is a thing that wow, that's wild. That's so wild.
Really makes you think, huh? But yeah, that's kind of where the state of things is in. I'm still a big pony fan.
That's so sad.
Yeah, I'm still a big pony fan. I hope that maybe this season, maybe like G6, things will turn around. We had some leaks for a potential G5 that looked really cool, but they scrapped it for whatever this is. So maybe someday they'll realize their mistake and we'll get a better.
Also, I'm looking at the movie poster. They had some big names here. They had Vanessa Hudgens, James Marsden. Like,
yeah.
Okay. Huh. Neat. One thing I've always wondered, what must it have been like for the brand manager and the CEO of Hasbro? How did the CEO of Hasbro find out about the bronies? What was the email? What was the meeting?
The show people played into it for a long time.
They did. But I'm curious that what was the moment? What was the meeting? What was the email that alerted the executives? That was it some like did some employee just come into the office and say, excuse me, sir, so we've been seeing some chatter online that apparently there's a lot of boys ages 18 to 35 that have really started liking Friendship is Magic. Our sales are up a lot for that demographic in particular. Johnson, what the heck? Why are you wasting your time with this? That's a very bad joke. I'm a busy person. Please get out of my office. That's ridiculous. And then, a second person comes in. Boss, did you see the numbers on the boys 18 to 35 demographic? What are you talking about? Take a look at this report, sir. Dear God.
I think
that somebody had to be informed. Like, and how did that happen?
Yeah, true. I I think it's probably about the same way it goes down for Precure, because it has about the same demographic split in Japan. You'll have the girls, and of course there's like older women and such as well that still like Precure, and then you'll have your subsection of like 18 to 30-year-old men that are just really into magical girls.
Okay. And just the fact that they did lean into it at all is really cool and frankly smart of, okay, you've found this market that you weren't aiming for at all, and that it certainly didn't seem to be doing poorly with the intended target demographic. So that's just having your cake and eating it too. That's exactly what every TV series or
that's what you want.
Of.
You want to break out of that, so you can get even more money. Exactly.
But it must have just been so wild for those teams to be like, okay, so everything we're designing now, we also in the back of our heads have to consider what is this what are the bronies going to think of this? That the term brony was used in Hasbro HQ for a couple of years, that the word became a business term that they had to use.
And I know a lot of the voice actors kind of like played into stuff as well. And the show did for a time until like the bronies started being critical of it, and then they kind of turned their back on the bronies. I remember that happening in real time. I was kind of mad about it too, because honestly, I do feel like the writing quality and the characters got more out of character. The writing quality went down. Like Fluttershy was getting the same storyline every episode that she was like the main star of. So I was one of the haters. I was going, hey, what's going on, Mr. Hasbro? And they kind of got like, they made a whole episode. I'm not joking. G4 made a whole episode about the ponies. Their friendship diary stuff gets like leaked out to the public, and everybody's like criticizing them for like their friendship lessons or something. It was really dumb. And like different like an actual pony like YouTuber got a they got referenced as well as being one of the critics. And they had a whole song at the end where it's like, you guys, like, basically, you should accept us for the way that we are. We're not perfect.
They wrote
We're just trying our best.
For the bronies, saying,
from the ponies. The main six were telling this to the brony XPs in the episode.
That's actually really cool. Of just okay, so we now. That's so meta of the characters actually in character, but through very clear allegory addressing their own critics. That's like that's really cool. That's really great writing. I don't know if it would work,
but no, it was bold of them. It did not work. It actually made people more upset, including me, because I was like, "Come on, guys."
Wow.
So I mean, I like G4 a lot, but it definitely has its flaws. I'll say that. That's what I'll end that segment on.
Well, last little question of G4. Who's your favorite? Who's your favorite pony?
Fluttershy, obviously, and Applejack. Applejack is a close second favorite.
Yeah, that's not terribly surprising, but
yeah.
Gosh, yeah, and like you said, My Little Pony's been around for many, many years on its own, even before G4, obviously, and that it's something that, similar to Pokemon, that it's neat that people get to grow up with different iterations. Obviously, for while Pokemon sometimes gets criticized for its sameness in that it hasn't necessarily grown, that My Little Pony has varied wildly generation to generation, not always to the delight of its fans.
Yeah. But I mean, I know when bronies became a thing, a lot of the old guard of like women in their 30s that were still My Little Pony fans and collectors, they didn't like it. They didn't like the brony like scourge upon the lands, because look, a lot of
that's an invasion in and of itself, almost.
Yeah. And a lot of bronycons sprung up, of course, by themselves, but the bronies also invaded pre-existing My Little Pony conventions, and then the nice older women that had a space that was pretty free of probably not saying that they didn't, probably some of them probably stunk too. I'm not saying that the women don't can't
Yeah,
be
but
stinky meats,
that's
but there's probably a lot more Brodies that were probably unwashed, and then they advanced upon the convention, so
oh
it kind of
no.
displaced some of the old guard. So I understand. Everybody has everybody.
Mm,
Yeah, you can't really be gatekeeping too much when you've invaded somebody else's already pre-existing space
yeah.
too. So
Bouncing back a couple of segments, you mentioned that you really, really, really got into Twin Peaks recently, and we
yes.
sort of started and stopped that conversation, then fell
Mhm.
into other things. So I want to actually give you proper time to talk about Twin Peaks because it's another one of those things that I am familiar with. Conceptually, I have not watched myself, but on paper, this actually looks like a series that I would enjoy. A
I
mystery
think
serial
most people
drama
would.
with surrealist elements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
Give me the sales pitch on Twin Peaks.
So Twin Peaks is it's like if you took your typical murder mystery in a small town type deal, but then you gave it to the most insane man to randomly interject the weirdest shit into at random intervals. Like a lady that speaks to a log and is actually a pivotal character in the narrative. Stuff like that. But it's also shot really well as well. So it's somebody that knows what he's doing, but he makes it he gets a little bit funky with
Mm.
it. Everyone is just a little bit off, even more so than they normally would be. It's like um I'm playing Deadly Premonition at the same time that I was watching it, and there's clearly, the clear inspiration, but I think what Sweary didn't know when writing his human characters is David Lynch is, so Sweary kind of his characters come off as, okay, this person, this, they just wouldn't act, nobody acts like this in real life. This person has never interacted with a human being before. David Lynch has made these strange characters, but they feel so natural, even though they're the weirdest people on the planet. You're yeah, okay, that makes sense actually. Like the log lady, yeah, okay, I'll accept it. It comes across totally different. So yeah, it's just imagine if I don't know, what's a good mystery show? Imagine if Columbo, instead of the detective being Columbo, it was an extremely autistic man. And then they interject random Lynchian Eraserhead type characters into the show. Even though the rest of it's pretty normal, you got some weird characters and you got some strange stuff going on. Everybody, look, I think it's a perfect example of small town America as well. He knows what he's writing about, because with the drugs and everybody being in everybody's business and everybody being in relationships with each other and double crossing each other, it's yeah, this is quintessential small town America, beneath the surface type stuff. It's really good.
Looking at the actual structure of the series, that it's not too long, that it is 48 episodes in a movie. But what makes it interesting is you have 8 episodes in season 1 and 22 in season 2, and that's not terribly uncommon, where you'll have the first season for something only be slated for 8 episodes because it's being given a trial run. They aren't going to give it a big commitment. And you have seasons 1 and 2, these 30 episodes, air from April 8th, 1990 until June 10th,
I know what you're getting into
1991.
now.
So it's just,
Yeah.
it's barely over a year. And then a year later, August 1992, you have the movie. So this seems, it's pretty contiguous, actually. And really the fact that they're able to get a movie that almost feels like they wanted to do, a couple more episodes, but decided to do a movie instead.
That's a prequel. That's a prequel movie.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
But so you have all this media very continuous for about 3 years, 2-3 years.
Yep.
And then that is the end.
And then jump forward 20 years.
Yeah, so it goes from 1992 to 2017, so 25 years.
Yeah,
they
so what
pick it back
happened, I
up.
believe, is it got canceled the end of season 2. And people with cult classics, sometimes you're able to get this stuff back. Sometimes if you fight really hard, and so I saw that and I was like, oh, season 3's gotta be dog shit.
Yeah,
right?
that's the thing that
like
usually you
after
hear when
Yeah.
you get a revival like this, that it's usually something that is considered
But
either
no. Yeah, it's considered like, oh, this is like bad. It doesn't live up to the original's hype because like, oh, we've been hyping it up for like 20 years.
25 years. Nothing's gonna be able to live up to 25 years of headcanon and fan theories and speculation.
See, how I think they got away with that is it's an older version, like it's older version of the detective, and it's like kind of like different stuff going on from what I hear about it. It's like different than the like he's just like he's doing other cases around the world, and it has really good reviews. Like people seem to really like it, so I'm excited. Yeah, I'm really excited. Another thing that's really interesting about Twin Peaks is the episodes are actually like 45 minutes long. They had the Netflix episode length thing going on.
And
back
so
in, like,
back in the day, that would have been hour-long airtime, 15 minutes going to commercials.
Yep.
That's really neat. So, and you, from what you just said, I take it you have not seen season 3.
I haven't seen season 2 either. I finished
Still
season
working
1.
through it.
Yeah, I'm still working through it. So, I am playing Deadly Premonition. I'm gonna put on hold for a little bit because the game is so like, it doesn't run very well. I'm gonna have to try to patch the Steam version and see if that works any better than trying to emulate it. But I hope so. But it's gonna be a bit of a pain because I have to get back to where I was and everything. But it's none of the ports run well. It's just a curse that the it has to bear, I suppose.
That's neat. And see, because it was on ABC, I'm guessing who has it nowadays? Showtime has
Hulu.
season 3.
Hulu has the rest of it, I'm pretty sure.
Gotcha. Is that I do still watch a lot of anime, and when I'm not watching anime, I'm watching VTubers usually. So I don't watch too much other media.
Same. I don't tend to watch media with like real life people in it, which is kind of I tend to watch
if I'm watching
anime and VTubers.
If I'm watching live action, I'm usually in a movie theater.
True. Yeah. Or like watching a horror movie for me, obviously, because a lot of that is live action. So.
Or a live action adaptation of an anime or a game. I did watch the Knuckles series last night, and
I saw a screenshot of that, of him complimenting a Jewish family's tiny hats. Is that actually in the show?
Yes.
Okay.
It
it
is the big thing to know about the Knuckles series is that Knuckles is not the main character.
Oh.
That the human is the main character here. Knuckles is very present, but I think if you go in with that understanding, you'll actually really enjoy the series. That if you go in expecting I'm gonna get Knuckles all the time, you'll be disappointed. But if you just go in knowing, okay,
but it's called the Knuckles Show.
Unfortunately, yeah, and I think part of it just
hate
comes
when
down
movies
to
do that. I hate when like Sonic too. Like when they have to include the Smurfs movie did it, Sonic, a whole bunch of them did it, where they have to include like a human that nobody cares about just to like move the plot along.
That doing the animation ends up just cutting into things I don't know. And to be fair, the human performances are very entertaining. That there's some fun stuff, and it is. If you've seen the 2 Sonic movies, it fits in. It is that type of silly, slapstick, irreverent that it is not, high cinema or anything. But if you know what you've seen in the movies, it's that. It very much fits in the universe, the style, the writing. They have some very fun guest appearances. You get Christopher Lloyd, Cary Elwes, who's the other one? One of the guys from the Mighty Boosh. I forget his name, but not going to spoil how you see them, who they are, or anything. But they got some really good actors. So the human performances are very solid. And funny enough, the episode where Knuckles gets the least screen time has the
Uh-huh.
most Knuckles lore, and they pull it, I shit you not, from Sonic 06.
Really? No way.
I
Didn't
won't
wait.
say
Sonic 06 was the one with the little like Aztec echidna girl, right? Tico
Tikal.
something.
No,
Yeah.
that was Sonic Adventure 1.
Oh.
That Sonic 06 was the really bad one with the human love interest for Sonic.
Oh. Well, what happened? Why? I didn't even know Knuckles was in that one.
I didn't either because I never played Sonic 06 because it is widely considered the worst game in the series. But the fact that they pulled from that the people behind the series know what they're doing, that was kind of the impressive thing of, because I was watching it with others and they were the ones who pointed out, I was like, wait, this is 06. I was like, what? And I cannot tell you how this lore is presented because it is one of the best parts of the series. And I want people to go in surprised, but I will say the episode with the least amount of Knuckles in terms of like that actual character appearing has the deepest Sonic lore and the most Knuckles actual story. So it makes up for him not actually being on screen in a really weird way. It's about 3 hours. It's a fun watch if you like that franchise. If you're not already enjoying the Sonic movies, don't watch it. It's not going to be to your taste.
Yeah, I guess.
But
Yeah.
but if you like the
I
Sonic
did
movies,
like the first
yeah.
one. I haven't seen the second one yet, but I did like the first one.
Sorry for the sidetracking. Talking about all
okay.
the different things. It was like, yeah, it was fun. Yeah. You mentioned to me that one of your hobbies outside of streaming is actually doing crafting, a lot of different art types of things. So what mediums do you work with?
Well, when I do crafts, it's pretty much little simple stuff. It's meant to be relaxing because when I like, my main thing that I do is like digital art, right? And I take that more seriously. So when I'm doing like crafting stuff, I take on like different stuff. I did like a face up for a kind of ball jointed doll, which was really fun to learn about, like what the tools people use, like they use like pastel, like watercolor, like little paint and stuff to do the details of the face, and it was fun to try out. It really was. I worked with like clay. I've done some yarn stuff, like cross stitching, and I used to crochet. I do some traditional art with like paints, like acrylics, oil pastels, little different things. I'm looking
really
into
wide variety.
customizing. Yeah, well, I get a lot of interest, and then I just buy a lot of stuff, and I do it at my leisure. I'm looking into customizing an Nendoroid to be Marotsuki from Yuaniki. I like to make toys and stuff for my hamster out of different little materials. And I do some miniatures as well. I have some miniature kits that I put together. So there's a lot of stuff. I also do coloring books because I think that's like the most relaxing you can get.
It's been... The concept of adult coloring books is something I'm very happy to see. That it's such a small, simple thing, and it's not huge, but you know, most people nowadays have at least heard of an adult coloring book and the fact that people just enjoy coloring, that it is, like you said, it's a very simple, relaxing activity to do. Have you done any hand cam streams for any of your crafts? I don't think I've seen any.
I've opened up Pokemon cards before because I'm big into Pokemon cards too, like collecting them. Not really. I've done some battling of them, and I've done some stuff with the TCG Online, but I'm more into collecting them. I've done a clay stream, but I've had a difficulty figuring out how to set up like a good hand cam that like looks nice. So I mean, it's been pretty okay, but it's kind of difficult. I mean, you gotta like have it pointed down at your desk and all this stuff. It's
a lot of extra work.
Different. Yeah, it's something that I would like to get into though. I think making little arts and crafts on stream is definitely something that I want to do. I also want to. I know how to do molybdemancy.
Molybdemancy?
Molybdemancy. It used to be done with lead, molten lead that was dropped into not boiling water, like just water. and it would it would form into shapes. Like when it drops, it like cools right in the water, and it hardens. So
Oh.
it forms different shapes. Yeah, how to have your camera do your face without ever letting it see your face. That's one of the main things I'm super scared
Yeah.
of, is like getting a reflection or something. I've thought of just making a really silly paper plate CC mask to put on my face whenever I do that kind of stuff.
That
So
way, in
if they
case
see
something
me,
goes, that
yeah, then you just see the paper plate. Because I don't have. I would love to have a kigurumi. There's actually a maker on Etsy that makes Cyclops kigus, but they're very expensive. So it's something that I have to think about for the future. They're those fake anime faces, mask things that
Oh
you
yeah,
see
those
with like
things.
the wigs.
Those things are kind of scary.
They make better ones in Japan. You can, if you like look up like Japan Cyclops kigu, they look a lot cuter. They don't look as scary as some of the masks that I've seen at like conventions and stuff. What was I saying? Oh yeah, like the molybdenmancy. Now it's done with either wax or like other molten metals that aren't lead, because obviously lead is kind of like dangerous.
Yeah.
So
Molten lead's
tin.
not
Tin
the
is
best
now.
idea.
Yeah. Tin is now the metal of choice, or wax. And I have a whole like little how would you call it? Like all the different little shapes and stuff. I have like a compendium. And I did get a dragon this year for my New Year's molybdenmancy. I would like to do that next year, definitely. I chickened out this year because I had to get used to the sound of the metal dropping into the water, and also I couldn't think of how to set up my my setup. It's very loud when it first like goes into the water. It makes like a sound that kind of can be spooky. The rapid cooling of the metal is it makes a sound.
Because I'm looking at a picture of molybdenmancy, MOLYBDOMANCY, molybdenmancy.
Yes.
Would be a good spelling bee word that I would absolutely get wrong.
Yeah. I think it has its roots in Germany. I think. Or like some area around there.
According to Wikipedia, for whatever that is worth, found as a tradition in various cultures, including Austria, Bosnia, and
oh, I was probably thinking about
Herzegovina, Herzegovina, Bulgaria, Germany, Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Switzerland, the Czech Republic, and Turkey.
Okay, so that's one of them. Austria makes a lot of sense too. So yeah, it's just one of those things.
You were correct on the region, and you were correct. One of the countries on the list. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of my little things that I found, and I was like, hey, that sounds cool. And like anyone can do it, so it's
How did you find out about this? Like this is relatively niche.
I'm really into the paranormal.
That makes sense.
Fortune telling like goes right into like paranormal stuff, right? Like because there's a bunch of different ways you can fortune tell. You can scry with bones, or like with water. You can do stuff with like, everybody has like the tarot cards and stuff like that. There's a ton of different ways. Every culture has like a different way to like tell fortunes and stuff. Or you could just be clairvoyant. Which means you just like see it in your head and nobody can tell whether you're right or wrong until it happens or it doesn't. So yeah, I'm really big into the paranormal. I was just like glancing around at different things and I saw that and I was like, oh, that kind of sounds neat. So I decided I would try it.
That's super neat. I've seen a number of people do tarot card streams, and just fortune telling, as entertainment is something that's always neat. But I hadn't seen this particular type, but it sort of makes sense because you get a effectively random shape being generated, and the shapes look really fascinating, the way that the different metals or materials dry, and that even to a lesser extent, I suppose, probably get this with just, candle wax or something.
Oh, yeah. Wax is the thing that they sell. Like, they sell kits in, like, Germany and those countries over in, like, Europe, that region. They sell kits, and they do sell them with wax. It's something that you can like do with your kids, I guess, because wax has a lot lower melting point,
Yeah.
and obviously it also
And,
hardens when it hits the water because it's like
mhm.
yeah. So
And it's
it
not going
works
to
too.
be likely to cause damage, and that the setup here is very simple, that you have a candlestick, which you then have a metal spoon with the liquid to heat it over. You then have a
Mhm.
metal bowl with what I presume is probably water or some other
Yeah.
solution, and that
Yeah,
you
just
drop it
tap
in,
water.
and that
Yep.
it's very simple. This is something you can do with basically anything you have set up at home. That heck, if you have a metal mixing bowl, a candlestick, and an extra candle, you can just melt one of the candlesticks with the other, and there you
True.
go.
Yeah.
You've got it all set up. That this is a very simple thing, and that you can create these cool, fun-looking little things.
Yeah, it's really neat. And obviously, well, when you're like looking at the shapes of the like the hardened material, what you're supposed to do is turn the lights off and look at them through like a flashlight, like a shadow puppet, and then you'll be able to
Ooh.
like see the different, like if it like turn it around, see what you get, like see what kind of
Hmm.
shape that you think it really forms. Um, and so it's kind of like what do they call that? Like a Rorschach test as well. Like it's
Yeah,
kind
that's
of
neat.
dependent on your
And I like that this is
how
sort of
you perceive it.
it's a multi-step process here, that you not only end up with, what are the shapes that you see of the thing itself, but now actually literally looking at it from a different angle of the light projection. That
Mhm.
that's really creative of how that all comes together. Are there any other types of fortune telling that you are particularly interested in?
I mean tarot readings. I've had my tarot like cards read multiple
Mm,
times. As far as VTubers go, Elliot Ambers has read my tarot fortune thing. Like sorry, I made myself a little
you're
bit
good.
smaller. I fixed it. I was clicking around. Elliot Ambers has read my fortune a couple times, and it seems to be fairly accurate. Of course, it is what you make of it as well. Um, so I do enjoy that. But not really, like, other than that, those are kind of just those are the two that I've kind of figured out and, like, pay interest in, pay
Mm,
attention to.
I
A
guess.
lot of my paranormal stuff is more focused on, like, cryptid stories and conspiracy theories and ghosts. Fortune telling is just kind of a passive
Tangential, I
interest.
suppose.
Yeah.
That's actually what I was going to ask next. So, if fortune telling isn't quite your area of interest that you mentioned, cryptids, conspiracy theory stories, so where does that interest begin for you? Is there either a piece of
Um,
media or a story or an event that you remember that sort of sparked your fascination?
Well, when I was a kid, my mom let me basically watch whatever I wanted, so I ended up watching a lot of horror movies. And because you're a kid, you kind of figure that stuff is real, even though it's not. So I've kind of just had like an interest in all things spooky because I watched a bunch of scary movies when I was a kid.
And you
And
wanted to learn
then,
about the dangers in the world to protect yourself?
yeah, how to protect myself from living dolls or vampires or werewolves and stuff. But also, once I grew up just a tad, just a little bit, then creepypasta became popular. And I
Ah,
loved scaring myself with creepypasta because
that
back then,
that's a whole area of the early 2000s internet we didn't talk about, the early
yeah.
creepypastas. Oh boy.
So, like back then you would read a creepypasta and it'd be like the scariest thing ever. Now I end up laughing at a lot of the ones that I thought were pretty scary, like the Russian sleep experiment ends up just being goofy to me now. But there's some bangers still. If I was to recommend anybody to read some creepypastas now, Baraska, Pen Pals, those two are like probably the two best creepypasta stories that I've ever read, and Pen Pal was actually made into a book. So, that tells you a little bit about how good it is. A lot of it is kind of bad. A lot of it is like, oh, I turned on my Nintendo 64 and Sonic was there instead of Mario, and Sonic was bleeding because Mario had beaten him up because Mario's evil and he got possessed or something. So a lot of it's like that, but a lot of it's just fun too. There's MLP creepypastas that I enjoyed, like Night of the Blank Flanks, I believe, is one of
Gosh.
it. There's a whole bunch of like really silly, goofy ones that end up being quite entertaining. And now it's kind of went into ARGs and like what do they call it, analog horror and stuff
Yeah.
like that, which I enjoy that as well. Though a lot of analog horror is pretty samey. There's some really good stuff. My
I
favorite.
feel like the first analog horror that you see is terrifying, and the second is less, and the third is less, and it goes from there.
Yeah, because they kind of have all done the same things as of late. The first analog horror that I'll say that I ever witnessed, or maybe it kind of counts as an ARG too, is Mystery Flesh Pit National Park, which used to be, people were like posting like from on Tumblr from the site these images of these like fake brochures that were written as if they were real, and it was for an attraction called Mystery Flesh Pit National Park.
What a name!
Yeah, so basically the whole gist of it was, hey, don't you want to take a trip down to the Mystery Flesh Pit where you can walk inside? It's like insides and see the organs and the different like inner processes of this mystery
the
flesh.
amazing mystery flesh small intestine. Bring your families.
Yeah.
Bring. We do parties. Get a special rate on our stomach exhibit.
That's basically what it was, yeah. And they'd be like, "Oh, the guides will take you down into the different chambers," and people that's like were selling real estate down there in some of the more hospitable zones.
Watch your step.
And
There's
like,
stomach acid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like, oh, you gotta be careful. Only go on the guided paths, because otherwise you can get like digested. And like up at the top, where the hotel is, there's like they were like, oh, by the way, there's like a Waffle House up there, or like IHOP if you get hungry. Here's all of our sponsors. It was so good, and they expanded on it really, really well. So the like it ends up the lore of it is like, oh yeah, this guy just stumbled upon this flesh pit, this flesh cave, and they started excavating it out. They started making like trips into it and plotting the routes. And it turns out that actually the mystery flesh pit is some giant eldritch being, and they probably shouldn't have been doing that.
Not.
It's really, really good. That's the one I'd have to recommend over basically anything else that I've seen. But there's some creepy stuff out there. There's some well-written ones, but man, that was really good. And it also has a Roblox game. So what else do you need?
It all comes back to Roblox.
Yeah, it all comes back to Roblox, baby. Go on Roblox to play Hello Kitty Cafe for 3 hours, then hop into the Mystery Flesh Pit for a little bit of fun. A little bit of a family vacation. Yeah, over to the Hamilton world to get your history homework done for the night.
That's gosh. Now I'm kind of surprised that I don't see more VTubers doing stuff on Roblox, because it sounds wild. Apparently this thing is...
The girlies are getting into it. You're like, the girlies are starting to get into the Roblox. I know Ira has streamed Roblox. I'm pretty sure that several of my other friends have also streamed parts of like
have,
Roblox.
Like Minecraft seasons. Ecto. It comes in waves. That it feels like once every 6, 7, 8 months that the VTuber community goes through another Minecraft phase. That it's inevitable that somebody makes a new SMP server or creates a new mod, and everyone's in on it, and then that's all you see for about 2-3 weeks. And, then naturally people go on to the next thing, but that it keeps coming back. And I'm kind of surprised that somehow Roblox has not infiltrated the VTuber sphere, at least not to any significant degree.
Yeah, I mean, not as many, obviously, when it's compared to, like, Minecraft. I think because
to be fair, anything is going to be less than Minecraft.
It is full of little kids, and Minecraft is too, but at least in Minecraft, you don't have to, like, deal with them usually. In Roblox, they're like, they're just out there. Hello, Dr. Daka, hello. It's totally fine. We've just been hanging out. We've been chilling. It's been a really good talk so far.
Do you have any favorite cryptids?
Yes. I think my all-time favorite cryptid is the Fresno Nightcrawler. If you want to imagine what it would look like if somebody wore a really, really big pair of pants and then, like, tied it up at the
Oh, I've
top.
seen these.
Yeah,
Somebody else has mentioned these. I don't know who has, but this has been mentioned to me before.
they're super cute. They're just little guys that walk around, and I love that for them. I love that for them.
So, like,
Aside from
oh
that,
my
I also
gosh.
like the Flatwoods monster, which if you've played Majora's Mask, the aliens in the segment where you have to like kill aliens at the Romani Ranch, those are basically based off the Flatwoods monster. I also like Mothman. Of course, everybody likes a Mothman, so.
I got an image of the Fresno night crawlers, and it just it's cute is really the best way to describe them. Just
Yeah, they're not like
they're
spooky.
just
They don't
little
really
guys.
do anything. Yeah, they just kind of walk around and they're doing their own
They're
thing
just
and they're
they're just
chilling.
wandering around. They're not harming anyone. They're not haunting anyone. They just apparently slipped into our plane of existence. They're like, ooh, a hill. Let's run down the hill. That seems fun.
Whee! Yeah, it's awesome. I love that for them. They're just like thriving. They're living their best life.
Yeah. Is there lore behind Nightcrawlers? Are they supposed to be human spirits, or are they just beings of another realm that somehow slipped
I
into
don't
ours?
think anybody really knows what they are. they just kind of keep getting caught on cameras, and I know for like the Mothman, obviously people talk about him being a harbinger of like doom, and then like sometimes they talk about it like, oh no, he kind of just is there when events are about to happen. The Fresno Nightcrawlers, they just kind of be crawling around.
That's
I
fun,
don't
but
think
I
they've been
appreciate
fighting.
cryptids that are not actually terrors and dangers. They're just, they're little guys.
Yeah, they're
That-
just little guys.
We have enough terrors, both cryptid and otherwise, in our world. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's not like Wendigos or like what are some other ones, like the Chupacabra, stuff like that, stuff that's dangerous. They're just little guys, and I like that. Sometimes you just need a little guy, like Nessie, the Loch Ness monster.
That is the singular cryptid. I don't even want to call it conspiracy theory or just sort of urban legend that I consider myself a pretty rigid person in realities of perceptions. That I generally speaking do not believe in ghosts. I don't believe that we're alone in the universe, but I don't think that any of the other sentient creatures in the universe have made it to Earth. But statistically, I believe that there has to be life somewhere else, just that we have not encountered. But that, Fresno Nightcrawler, I don't know if I would subscribe to that. Chupacabra, I believe that there's, an animal that people saw that has become known as the Chupacabra, but it is, a real, normal, naturally occurring thing. And I think that the concept of a deep-dwelling plesiosaur from, dinosaur eras being deep enough in the waters to not be affected by the ice age that was caused by the asteroid is somewhat feasible. And that, we see, if you look up the types of actual terrifying fish that live in the deep parts of the ocean, like that's after
I
seeing
think
the
it's
stuff
totally
that
believable.
we could absolutely have, a big, serpenty type of thing that has maybe once or twice surfaced, or perhaps it was just, I don't know, a whale that got off course and someone saw its fin. But Nessie strikes me as at least feasible. I don't know if I'd go hunting for it, but I see and say, maybe.
I really do think so, because what was that one fish that basically everyone thought was extinct, and it turns out like it's actually real?
The coelacanth.
Yeah.
I learned
so,
about
like,
that from
that's
Animal Crossing.
Yeah, so like, and like, like Dr. Duck said, like all the deep sea fish and stuff, they're all like weird and gross. So I would believe that, yeah. And Tsuchinokos are super cute too. They're just big fat snakes, big fat little snakes. I love it. That's what Dunsparce is based off of, by the way. So, yeah.
Oh, Dunsparce is what a cute, dumb little guy.
Yeah, he's just a little guy. Just like the Fresno Nightcrawlers. They're all dumb little guys.
In terms of conspiracy theories, obviously there's a
There are a
very
lot of bad
wide
ones.
range of what can be considered a conspiracy theory. You strike me as one that when we're talking conspiracy theories, we're talking, things a la cryptids of certain things and like perhaps the creation of these things that have become known as cryptids. Do you have any favorite stories in that vein?
Well, I like, so when it comes to conspiracy theories, I think it's more that I'm interested in them from a point of I'm looking inward at the people that believe
An
in
academic
them.
standpoint.
Yeah, from like I'm looking at the people that believe, like Asgard and all of the different realms actually exist. Earth is just the very middle, and like what we perceive as like the outside of the Earth is just like a layer between the other layers in this giant basically this giant map that includes like Asgard and all these other mythical places out on the outer core, or that people believe that inside the core of the Earth there's like a totally other different race of beings and stuff like that. That's what I like. Supernatural
conspiracies. Yeah.
All of those are so much fun. I was especially when people are just like, it's not really just a conspiracy theory, it's more like a theory in general.
Yeah.
I was listening to a paranormal podcast, and someone was like, what, like they posited their theory on why people don't see ghosts of cavemen. Like when you hear about ghosts, it's like, oh, it's like the Queen of England.
Yeah, you hear
she's searching for
modern.
her chopped off head, or it's like some Civil War soldier, or some random like Victorian lady, or like whatever, some random more modern ghost. They were like, I bet that when you die and you become a ghost, there's only a certain amount of spiritual energy that you have. As the years like go by, like basically, because people think they're made of like ectoplasm and all that stuff, right? And that they can tune into like electricity and stuff like that. So as the years and decades and thousands of years go by, that spiritual energy, it fades. And so like we used to have ghosts of cavemen. Like the cavemen saw ghosts of Bob and Unga and Bunga, but now we don't see them.
Spiritual energy has dissipated since, and so we do not see them today. But we still
people
see
aren't
folks
gonna
from
see
the more recent centuries.
Yeah, people aren't gonna see the dead queens and the dead Victorian people in, a certain amount of like maybe hundreds to thousands of years either. It'll be like the ghosts of like us, like the people that are like alive right now. Yeah.
And in a way, I feel like those types of stories, legends, conspiracy theories, whatever phrase you want to use for them, of the supernatural, that in a way it is pre-internet creepypastas. It is pre-internet the types of stories that people tell, memes in their most primitive, in multiple senses of the word, form. And that those are the stories that persisted even without the era of the internet to be able to actually get to the number of people that things can now, that they naturally proliferated, that people told these stories, and that even without technology as we have it today, that these stories started somewhere and that they were able to get around and they persist, and that, you have Slender Man, or you have the Fresno Nightcrawlers and the other things, and that ghosts as a whole, and Loch Ness Monster and all these other things are just that from years gone by.
Yeah, so, and speaking of that, I definitely agree, because if you look what, was, all these scary stories didn't start with, the internet, right? When you go back to, the alien hunting, the UFO sighting community, they had, books and pamphlets that were being passed out, amongst their community, and, stuff like that. Now we have, the internet, so somebody is posting, that they saw a spaceship on, Reddit. But it's always been, a thing where people are publishing little little like pamphlets or little things about their experiences. Maybe they went on a radio show like Coast to Coast with Art Bell, which is an absolute banger. Maybe they called in there instead, stuff like that. Yeah, it's always been around. So I guess you could call them like they used to be creepypastas. Yeah, like somebody would be like Jim from down the street thinks he got abducted by aliens and they like planted chips in his brain and they messed with his like internal wiring or something.
Yeah, and just that the fact that we still have those, that's really cool that they've actually continued to survive this long, because regardless of what you believe, the fact that these types of stories have literally been told for hundreds of years is just it's fascinating and really a strange type of success story unto itself. The fact that something can actually become that ingrained in collective consciousness and culture, and that we're imagine how many other stories that just were lost to the ages, that for every good creepypasta, like you mentioned, that there's all these other ones, and that inevitably over the years there must have been 100 times, 1,000 times as many of these stories that people tried to start, that they saw something in the night and it looked weird and they said, oh, I think I saw this, that, the other, and that whether anyone else did believe them or not, that maybe their town believed in it, but then it sort of faded after a decade or so from the town, but that a couple of these that started somewhere, a small lake in I'm blanking out if it's Ireland or Scotland. I'm very sorry.
I'm pretty sure that it's.
I think it's Ireland.
Oh my God! Now you got me. And that's bad because they're gonna be mad at us.
Loch Ness. Where's Loch Ness? It's like I don't want to have this wrong.
It's not as bad as
Scotland.
calling.
I was wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's not as bad as confusing them with Europe. That'll really. That's really gonna get people mad. But
but then that from a small town in Scotland, that this thing is now known all over the world, and that's really cool.
It is.
That's just it's so improbable in and of itself.
People love spooky stories. They love, thinking that maybe, hey, there's some freaky stuff out there.
Mm-hmm. And that
it's
doesn't
fun.
matter the age, and that even now, the Loch Ness Monster continues to be an area of fascination for many people. And I also wonder, frankly, how much has been discovered inadvertently in the pursuit of the supernatural. That you can bet Loch Ness has had just deep sea probes and analysis done on a scale that is frankly probably not warranted for it, but in doing so they probably discovered some interesting things. There's got to be at least one species, subspecies of something, or maybe there was some scientific discovery of there's a lot of this element here that isn't necessarily present in other places, and what other aliens, ghost stories, cryptids have people searched for and found the things they didn't expect in the process. How much of human knowledge and science is born of the pursuit of the supernatural, even if we do not find the supernatural. Exactly.
Like alchemists were trying to make gold and stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I totally agree.
And that just curiosity will always be a thing, that which we do not understand, we will seek to understand, or somebody will, not necessarily everybody, but it only takes one really persistent person to try enough crazy things to find something, even if it's not what they wanted to.
Yeah. I mean, I think like a lot of times when it comes to scientific discoveries, and obviously like the paranormal is not anything scientific, but when it comes to that, and regardless, like when you're like trying to like figure something out, sometimes your hypothesis or whatever conclusion that you land on or whatever you like discover in your pursuits is totally not what you expected, and that's a good thing.
Yep.
That's a good thing, because
that's
that's awesome. Yeah. So I know I was reading about I was watching I watch a lot of videos on like scientific scandals as well. But one of them was this guy who was working with like physics and like lasers and stuff, and I don't know why he thought this, but basically he would just change his papers up to match whatever like he was trying to get to, like the whatever like kind of conclusion he was trying to get to,
You're
which
not
is
supposed to
totally
do
the
that.
opposite,
That
of what
is
you're supposed to do.
yeah.
And it's lying, it's fraud, and he got
Yeah.
caught. He got caught eventually. But yeah, it's all part of like the process. So I mean,
Mhm.
I think you could extend that to like paranormal stuff too.
Mhm. Sort of hopping around a bit, you mentioned that something that you enjoy, and it was a term that I did not actually know, shimeji, which is a type of mushroom.
Yeah. Well,
And
actually, it's a program too.
mm,
Yeah. So they're like desktop pets. Do you remember desktop pets?
I remember Clippy.
That's kind of like a desktop pet, but a lot of people were making little ones that could walk across your desktop and weren't as annoying. You kind of wanted them to be there.
Yeah.
And that's what shimeji were. They
Mm,
could toss your windows around and stuff and be a little bit annoying, but their main purpose was just to walk across your screen and be cute
mm.
and kind of multiply in number too. They could like
So that's where
yeah,
that term came from, because of just,
yeah, the
mushroom.
mushroom thing,
Okay,
yeah.
that makes sense.
So I've been really into just like thinking of all the stuff that we used, like we had like as the internet used to make. Like I would be on DeviantArt, people were making graphics for others, like for forums, signatures, avatars, blinkies, stamps, shimejis, desktop pets. People were doing like custom Danmakufu stuff for like Toho little games and things like that. There's a whole bunch of like different downloadable internet content that I believe isn't utilized as much anymore. It's a lost art. And I
Mm,
really want to be able to do that. Like dress up games, there used to be like this like called Elui, and there was like little pixel dress up dolls. And there was a ton of different like room decorator dress up things back in the day. All this stuff. It's all going back to like the 2000s nostalgia and everything. But I really wanted to make a CC shimeji little desktop pet, some like icons and a cursor, because people used to like customize their whole desktop, right? They used to have the Winamp skins. They used to have the custom icons for their desktop, the wallpaper, the custom cursor
mm.
that you would download for your
Yeah,
computer.
you get full packages of these, and that you do still get these to a lesser extent now. But yeah, they used to be a very big thing, and that especially in nerdy fandoms, that was one of the big things.
Yeah,
being
I
able
had a
to
Toho. I had a Toho Kine Kami Shirasawa cursor for my computer and stuff like that. I feel like, you know what? I like voice packs and stuff from like VTubers and like merchandise, as in like keychains and stickers and T-shirts. But what if I think more people should
to do
incorporate
cursors
little
and
little things that your fans can have on their desktop. Little little things from the past, little relics of the
VTuber
past.
shimejis.
I'm sure that I know I've seen some Hololive ones. I know I have. But yeah, just like little VTuber desktop pets, little just and you can make simple little games too. It's so easy to make a little game. Just like even if it's a dress up game, or if it's like just a simple like auto runner or anything like that, people I think would enjoy it. Just to like be like, hey, this is, you include some nods to your community in these things, and people would really like that.
Mm. And
It's also just another way to show that you're a fan if your whole desktop is covered in like
Yeah.
the VTuber,
that used to
VTuber
be-
icons and stuff.
It was one of the big things, that similar to forum signatures. That that was one of the things that you would be able to get, like these badges, and that there would be entire packs of. You mentioned not only it wouldn't be just a single cursor, but that just as the mouse cursor has different things of like there's the little selector bar if you're on a text document, and then there's the normal pointer, but then there's also like the finger, and that it would have different expressions or different arts for all of the different cursor iterations.
Little animations and stuff, yeah.
And that I do still see a couple of these every now and again, but I think that would be something that would be really cool to see more of them. and
Yeah.
that heck, even it could be as simple for a lot of people as just sometimes either taking their own emotes, or that it's small pixel art. That this is not high detail art or graphical rendering that we're doing here, because it has to be the size of a cursor approximately. And who knows, that I'm sure there's a couple people out there doing this. I know I've seen like one or two, I think, on VGen. But
Yeah, I have seen the cursor ones on VGen. I've seen a couple of them.
But I do agree that it's something we could use a little bit more of.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just nice to visit the past like that again.
Yeah. I know. Also, you enjoy small animals. That you actually have a hamster.
Yes, wee.
And I'm blanking on the exact name of the species. You mentioned it to me the other day. I forgot to write it down.
Roborovsky hamster.
Yes.
Robo hamster. They're very small. He's very round. I love hamsters. I'm very passionate about like small animals getting the care that they need to, because a lot of times they're kind of seen as disposable pets. I know that's harsh to say, but like the populace at large, that's why everybody has to remind people, hey, don't get a bunny just for Easter, because the bunny lives like 10 plus years. You have to take care of it, and it has needs. Yeah, and it might have to go to the vet, and it has like, it has to go to a specialty vet, which is really expensive. And same with hamsters. I mean, people don't realize that the hamster stuff they sell at like these stores, it's way too small for them. I have Wee Wee in a 40-gallon tank, and it's still pretty small. I want to get him something even bigger. But like the little guys that they sell, the little plastic things with all the tubes that coming out of it and stuff, all that's really bad for them. They shouldn't have to live in something so small. It's like if you were forced to live in a closet.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, hey. And same with bunnies. People put them in these little cages when they need a certain amount of room to run around. You have to have basically at least a section of a room for a rabbit to like run around, and then you would hopefully, not probably, let him out to run around the house as well. But yeah, I love small animals. I love bunnies and guinea pigs, ferrets, hamsters, mice. They all have like, I don't know, there's something so cute about little rodents. And like a bunny isn't a rodent, it's a lagomorph. But for the sake of the argument, we'll pair them together. There's something so cute about their little face, their little twitchy noses, and their big boba eyes. It's so cute. So
my
adorable.
Gosh, I've never heard them described as boba eyes, but now I can't unsee it.
Yeah!
Yeah, they look like little boba pearls.
Yeah! It's just adorable. And I'm sure that Wee Wee is up right now running in his wheel. I'll have to, as soon as I get done, I'll have to go put some more food in his cage, give him some fresh greens. But yeah, I've raised I've donated to a lot of charities myself. I didn't raise money. I've done different charity raising stuff on stream, but not anything for rabbits or hamsters specifically yet. But I have spent time at my local rabbit shelter, my local rabbit rescue, volunteering, and I like to give them a little bit of money so that they can keep, giving the bunnies a nice little life before they get fostered or adopted out. And I have fostered rabbits before as well. It's a very nice experience.
What is the largest number of furry friends that you have had in your house at the same time, whether they were, forever homed, or if they were being fostered or just cared for temporarily? Three? Okay, so not too many.
No, I try not to do that, because there's like, okay, when it comes to rabbits and when it comes to guinea pigs, I haven't ever fostered guinea pigs, but when it comes to those two, you definitely want to get them a little friend, right? And if you want to get them another little friend on top of that, that's probably good too. But hamsters are very solitary creatures. You'd have to have them in different pens and stuff. I've only ever had one hamster at a time, but I've had multiple rabbits at a time. And I've had bunnies and rabbits. I've had hamsters and rabbits at the same time as well, and it's really cute to if the hamster was like, I've had my hamster be up at the same time my rabbit is up and running around, and at the time the hamster was like on this coffee table type of kind of low table. The bunny hopped up, my bunny, I believe it was Cookie, hopped up and was just watching the little hamster in his tank. just rummaging around. It felt like I don't know. I kind of wonder what she was thinking at that point. Like, why is this rabbit so small?
Mm,
Why is he in there? Let him out. But it was very, very cute.
mm.
I would recommend unless you're planning on starting a rescue, which in that case you gotta have a lot more resources available to you to really keep your fostering at a limit. I would say if you're really prepared for it, you could probably have like maybe 3 or 4 rabbits if you're prepared for it, and you have like the pens to set up in different like rooms of your house and stuff in case maybe they all don't get along so much. But I would definitely hard cap it probably at that, and that's only if you have a big house. If you have like a smaller type of dwelling, I would say 2 maximum.
If someone's looking to get their first pet and you're like, okay, I have the space and resources to take care of something, but I'm new to this, I don't entirely trust myself to do complex care, what would you suggest as a first pet? Is there something that is a bit more, I don't want to say easy, but a bit more simplistic perhaps in terms of care?
Well, I will say that rabbits are definitely like a longer living animal. They're going to have to be spayed or neutered, which costs a lot of money. You have to have a specialty vet to do that. So I wouldn't start there. I would say hamsters, kind of, but hamsters are rats. But they're not, none of them are really beginner friendly because you have to spend, I know I spent getting my setup for WeWe, I spent probably a couple $100. So, and that's like, he's still in a cage that I think is like, it could be bigger than it is. So I really think as far as, I don't think that really many of them are starter pets. I think guinea pigs kind of do okay with like, if you have like a pen set up, like a pen set up for 2 guinea pigs is probably good enough, like in exchange for like 1 rabbit, and they're a little bit easier to take care of. I've seen some pretty happy guinea pigs even in like, you know, places where the owner isn't the most knowledgeable. So maybe guinea pigs, but not, I don't know. They're all kind of, they all have their specifics.
So Flavorful, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome on in, Raiders. I'm Jay. This is Vtuber Talk. I'm talking with Ceci HIME, talking about hamsters, bunnies, furry friends, and the care that goes involved to having anything like that in your house. And I hope you had a wonderful stream, Flavorful. Welcome on in. If you need to take care of yourself, get some food, get some rest, make sure that you do take care of yourself. I hope you had a great time on the stream.
Yeah, it's nice to see you guys. This is Vestiary. They're a little group that I'm a part of, and they were doing a manga chat tonight about it was Haz, Flavorful, Nuna, and Woozle. I believe they were all talking tonight about manga Wakusei Closet. Yes. It's really fun. I was on there last time. It sucks. Don't read it. What do you mean?
Aww.
I don't think that's the opinion of everyone in the book club. I'm just gonna say that right now. Woozle's kind of a contrarian. Oh, by the way, I was gonna mention also guinea pigs still aren't really a starter because you have to have a second guinea pig. They literally die of loneliness if you do not have a friend for them. I'm not joking.
That's
yeah, they can't like be alone. So, and I don't mean to laugh as if that's funny, but I'm like, I think it's kind of cute.
Yeah,
I think it's cute that they just want to have
very
a friend
sweet.
all the time. Yeah. So even then, I guess hamsters in a way, but you have to like get a big enough cage. You have to research before you get one, because you know sometimes hamsters get like sicknesses and stuff. But in my time, the only one that's really had an injury is WeWe, and that was an error on my part because I got something from the internet that had like a kind of small space that he got his leg stuck in and it broke. Yeah, but okay, I got him to the vet and they can do surgery on a hamster, and now he has only 3 legs, but he's happy and it's fine.
Yay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
That I remember that you do need to be very careful with animals like this because there's particular things, and it can be as simple as how you clean and what you use to clean their
Yeah.
areas. That one of my siblings really unfortunately, that the type of soap that they used to clean a cage at one point, they did not realize had something that was toxic to hamsters, and that
Yeah, you
unfortunately,
have to really do research on that stuff. You hear a lot of cases of that though, of people that don't really know, or they're sold like false information by these pet stores that like, oh, this is fine and that's fine, and the other thing. You really have to do your own independent research on. There's like a hamster forum. What is it called? Whenever I have a question, I head over to hold on. Let me remember
send it
this.
to me on
Hamster
Discord.
Central.
Hamster Central.
Hamstercentral.com. Whenever I have a question pertaining to hamsters, those are the guys I go to. They know their stuff. Those people on there, they're dedicated to their hamsters, so... And it's still active. It's not a dead forum. There's still many hamster lovers.
This is an old style forum. We were talking about
Yeah.
old forums like this is the stuff right here. Oh yeah, we've got a
Exactly,
picture of the
yeah.
month on the homepage.
Yeah.
Recent threads. Oh yeah, this is the stuff right here.
It's awesome. It's super awesome. I love it. I love it when forums are just still around and they're active. It makes me so happy.
Oh, that's so neat. They even have a gallery. It's just a bunch of pictures of hamsters. Oh.
Yep,
that's
everybody's little hamsters. It's so great. I love Hamster Central. And there are rabbit forums and stuff as well. There are house rabbit societies that you can
rabbit societies.
adopt from.
That's so.
Yeah,
the fact they're
that's what
called
they call
societies
it.
is so cute.
Yeah.
To me.
It's basically a rescue. It's a shelter, but they do call them like house rabbit societies and stuff. It's very cute. It sounds so formal. They'll give you, if you go to take like one from like a shelter or a rescue, which is really hard to find for hamsters, but for bunnies it's not really. They'll be able to get like you started in the right direction, tell you exactly what you need to do, and they won't let you take one unless you agree to it and actually show that you're like willing to put in the effort. So
yes, that's always good. Just rescues that are like not so desperate to get things out the door that they aren't going to make. They're going to make sure that whoever's taking the animals is capable of caring for them.
yeah, very important.
I've always really enjoyed rabbits. I am sadly allergic to rabbits. We discovered this when I was very young, and we went to the state fair and, just went to the different animal barns, and, there was the sheep barn and the horse barn and the bunny barn. And we like...
The goats?
And that I'd walk through the bunny barn and, get up close and look at all the very adorable rabbits and be really happy. And as we walk out of the bunny barn, I'd be like, my throat's really itchy right now. It's like, just like coughing. It's like, it was nothing bad. It's not life-threatening, but distinctly uncomfortable and annoying. And it was after the second or third time that we realized, oh, I'm just allergic to rabbits.
It reminds me of when people are like eating something. I've seen so many stories of people who are like, yeah, I would like this food, but it's so spicy, and it's like a fucking banana or something. And people are like, dude,
that's not
I think
supposed to
you're
be
just
spicy.
allergic. That's exactly what that reminds me of. Oh my gosh. It's okay. I have cat allergies, but I basically told my body to be built different, and I suffered through it enough until I don't get those anymore.
I'm sadly also allergic to cats. That fortunately, I'm allergic to most animal dander. Fortunately, none of it is severe. It's like, runny nose, watery eyes, sometimes itchy throat, sometimes sneezing, and it's not consistent between the different animals either. It varies. And none of it is, like I said, life-threatening, thankfully, but all of it is significant enough such that I would not want to own one of those animals.
Aw, that's sad. Well, I mean, there's still stuff like lizards and geckos and stuff. I used to have geckos as well in the knolls. They can be fun. Little geckos, they always look so happy. Feeding them is awful though because you do have to deal with bugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of my cousins had geckos and snakes, and seeing them at my cousin's house at school, but I was like, yeah, no, I would not want to have to care for one of these. But it's neat seeing people be able to actually care for these types of animals and have all these different interests, because they do all require very unique care. And that, for snakes, my cousin had to buy dead rats to feed to the snake. And that they would be fed once a week because it would just be slowly digested, and that's all they needed. But it meant that once a week they'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna go feed Noodle, and just knew that meant that they were gonna unpack a vacuum sealed dead rat that they had bought from the pet shop for this purpose. And that's what you have to do for certain animals.
Yeah, and for geckos and stuff, it's crickets, of course, or mealworms. So you gotta, or the tiny baby mice, pinkies they call them. They also can eat those. So yeah, you gotta be okay with giving your pet other things that are alive to eat instead of just like seeds and stuff, which isn't really. I don't really care for that really so much anymore, even though I think that snakes and lizards are cute. It's a little bit too much.
Yeah, I generally enjoy from afar that if a friend has it, like, that's super neat. I like seeing pictures. I like seeing them at zoos. I've never really been the type to be eager to raise and care for an animal myself, but I find the care that goes into it fascinating, and I like seeing what other people have and what they do, and just learning about those different intricacies. That from an academic standpoint, I really like it. I just don't want to do it myself.
Yeah, that's totally understandable.
Are there any pets that you have not had that you are interested in potentially one day raising?
I think ferrets are super cute. They're a little bit energetic, and they're like kind of bitey a little bit, like in like a friendly bite, like a playful bite. But I do think they're super cute. Unfortunately, ferrets are very inbred, and they are very prone to sickness and like early death because of the way that they've been bred. I'm pretty sure you'd have to go to like a specialist breeder or something, like a ferret person that's like really trying to keep that out of the gene pool at this point. But I don't know, they might just be kind of, the domesticated ferrets might just be kind of, we might have been a little bit harmful to them. A little bit too harmful to them. I mean, it's not like, it's not like you get them and they like die instantly, like within a day, like a goldfish.
Yeah, it's not quite that bad, but that they don't live necessarily as long as you would expect those types of animals to live.
But yeah, ferret and rats. I really want rats. However, the boy rats are apparently like more sociable. They're more like, they're nicer, but they also smell. Their pee smell is really bad. So that's why I haven't really tried to get into rats. But rats are super smart. They're very social and nice little guys. They can be very cute. It's not like in New York City where you see the giant rat and it's like fucking eating a pizza slice, and it's like a foot long, and it's all like scrungly and stuff. They're small and they're just very nice, and they like people think that rats are very dirty animals, but they like to keep themselves clean. It's just like pigs. People think that pigs are very dirty animals too, but people keep them in dirty conditions. And it forces the animals to like kind of live in their filth, and they get used to it. But they prefer to have like open pastures to go through and be clean and live a healthy life like that. And I think the rats do too. The rats don't enjoy living in the New York sewers and subsisting off of pizza slices and cigarette butts, but they have to because they're in New York. So.
And the ROUSs have to adapt to live in the fire swamp. There's a reason that they are big and terrifying and have giant teeth.
Yeah. You don't mind it? Well, Okay, maybe some rats enjoy living in the sewers and eating the pizza slices and cigarette butts.
Thank you for the input. Big Hat Token, High Lord Bowen.
Bolner, yes.
Bolner. That is
We
quite
have we have some certified rats in chat to tell us what's what.
Bolnir, yes. Oh my goodness, we've been at this almost 4 hours, and I know it is getting late for you. I don't want to keep you up too much longer, but I do have...
11 p.m. But yes, I know you have a few ending questions,
Yes.
correct? I saw them at the end of the sheet.
Yeah. So, for starters, do you have any goals that you want to accomplish by the end of the year? That we're, as weird as it is, almost in May now, so
I
not quite halfway through
know.
the year, but
It's crazy.
we're getting there. So, whether it's a type of stream, or if there's a project, or if there's just anything that you're hoping to achieve or do with your content by the end of the year, is there anything that you have on that list?
Well, I did have partner on that, but somehow I managed to get it, and I'm still
Oops.
like reeling. I
Well,
don't know how it happened. So I have had to come up with some new goals. I think I want to get merch out, and like not just on like TeePublic, like where it's print on demand, but like actual stuff that I have drawn myself and kind of made into
cursor
stuff.
packs. We need
Yeah,
CC
stuff like
cursor
that
packs.
too. Yeah. But like also physical, like little keychains and stuff. I would like to have stuff like that as well, not just digital. I would like to get my website up and running. And I would like to try to do some different types of content. I have a couple of ideas. Saturday morning cartoons, watching them with everyone on a special kind of display at like overlay. I know if you've seen that guy Shindigs, is that their name?
Yeah.
On Twitter being like, this VTuber blah blah blah. I like that kind of stuff. People have been inspiring me with that, and I'd also like to start maybe doing some just talking, hanging out stuff with friends, like collaborations where we talk about spooky stuff.
The Spooky Cast.
Yeah, I was thinking of CryptCast because unfortunately,
Ooh.
Wendigoon and his friend Meat Canyon took Creepcast, so I have to change it up a little bit. A castle can have a crypt. It can have a crypt and a dungeon. So we'll just combine the crypt and the dungeon, because I wanted it to be like dungeon talks, but I feel like CryptCast is more spooky, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Keeps the
So stuff
alliteration
like that.
and that, because I feel like Creepcast, it risks the other connotations of the word creep.
Yeah, true.
But-
I didn't even think about
But
that.
Cryptcast is, you know what you're getting into there.
Oh yeah, spooky stuff.
Mm.
I'd also have like a model that I want to debut with an actual debut. I haven't actually done a debut at all, which I feel like once you hit partner, I think you're supposed to have done that already. So I would like to do that, and just more collaborations, getting out of my comfort zone, and I'm really trying to do that and talking to people to kind of. Yeah.
Huh. Well, I guess you got one under your belt now.
Yeah. It was a lot of good practice to to do this, I think.
Yes, and like these 4 hours flew by, Cecilia. That this was super easy. That you are quite good at talking, and
I'm glad. Oh my god, thank you. Because I'm gonna be honest. I used to be like a NEET, and I didn't talk at all. I was a super lurker on like everything. Starting in like I think I started in 2021, January of 2021 till now, I've had to like train myself on how to be a human being and be social with people. Which is hard because I'm not a human being. I'm actually a demon. So
yes, she is. Thank you very much.
I do my best. It's nice to hear that. I'm glad. I think it went. You know what? Time really flew by for me too. It was nice. It was nice, and I'm glad that you thought the same. I wasn't a difficult guest.
Oh no. Fortunately, I don't think I've ever actually had anyone that I would call a difficult guest. Unfortunately,
That's
and part
good.
of that is, I mentioned this to you when we spoke the other day, that I look around and that I don't have a set standard for, qualifications, so to speak, for people that I ask to be on the show. I just look around and say, okay, do I think I could hold a conversation with this person for a couple of hours? And that usually it's just based on, do I see them talking a fair bit on their own channel? And Do they seem like they're able to keep a conversation going with their own chat? Because if you can keep a conversation with your chat, you can probably keep a conversation with another person.
Oh yeah,
And
definitely.
that's all there really is to it. And I was very optimistic to begin with, and that this was just delightful. And being able to talk about everything from early internet, My Little Pony, Pokemon, and just so many things in between, that this has been so fun. And the last question that I ask all my guests is, what does being a VTuber mean to you? And that's not the question
Okay.
of what is a VTuber, but different people get different things from VTubing. I've had people tell me it lets me get in touch with my inner child. It lets me be someone I can't be in real life. Others have a more clinical approach where I use it as an entertainer, that this is what I'm able to do to channel my creativity and express myself artistically. Or I think that I could be a face cam streamer, but I like the different tools that being a VTuber affords me. And for me, it's a way to entertain the audience. And those are very different types of answers, and there's a lot in between and even beyond. There's no right way or wrong way to be a VTuber. So for you, Cecilia Rosenkreutz, what does being a VTuber mean to you?
Well, I mean, I've always been like watching streamers and stuff. I used to just watch like Vinny and like Northern Lion and like German and all them and stuff. But I was like, oh well, that looks fun, but I could never do it because I don't want to show my face. I'm like shy, hides behind hands. But I think the main thing that like really got me into it was like having like, I used to be such a loader, and I had like a near-death experience, and I was like, this seems like a great way to meet people and to get, like be able to like get social skills and like do things that I haven't been able to do in the past. So for me, being a VTuber is like being able to like make new friends, meet new people, do things that maybe like you wouldn't be able to like just do like on your own. Like just like it's been such a blast. I can't wait to see where it like turns up for me. I'd love to go like to conventions and stuff sometime and meet people. It really is just about hanging out with people for me. I think like I really do care for my viewers, and I think of them as like my little friends, my little computer friends that sit around and like gather around and like hear me yap like for a few hours and stuff. It's just really nice. It's nice to have so many people to talk to.
For sure, and that it definitely comes through in all the things you do, and that obviously the goal that you set out for yourself with streaming is clearly a success, because here you are on a talk show. You have one of your primary goals to do more collabs, that you're getting there. You're comfortable enough, and obviously you're capable of doing this, and I'm very happy that you were able to find VTubing and that you've been able to really thrive in it. And like you said, congratulations on getting partner, that you can't exactly have that as the go-to goal anymore because you got there, and that's a really big deal.
It's given me a bit of imposter syndrome, and I've kind of had to like see what's next, because when I work really well when I have a goal in mind. But I think I'm just going to try different things and see how it goes. And like I said, just try to make more friends, like I wanted to at the beginning. I think it's very possible. I've been challenging myself, so yeah.
And the last actual question: who would you like us to raid? While she looks around, I'll do some last housekeeping. So thank you to everyone who tuned in. Thank you to everyone who rated. I didn't actually get around to doing thank you for the follows. So thank you to Snorlax Bud, Sir Blued64, Reaper Whale, Red Riot, 20999, Natsuki-chan, Kuro666 Dark, Dandelion Funky, Hazmat, and again, thank you to Aito, Waffle in a Toaster, and Flavorful for the raids. Really appreciate you, whether you've been here from the beginning of the stream, got in here via a raid somewhere along the line, or just stumbled across. I really do appreciate you taking time to join me and Cecilia tonight. And if for some reason you aren't following Ceci already, please be sure to do so. I've given her a shout out, and there's a bunch of her links down in the channel panels. And if you're watching on YouTube, hi YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. Cecilia's links are going to be in the video description. And I need to get off my butt and actually upload some VODs, because I've been very busy and slipped through the cracks. I have the files. I'm good about downloading the files. I make sure I have them on my hard drive. They are there. I just need to actually upload them and get in all the links in the video descriptions, which hopefully, like, I keep meaning to do that, and I actually think
It's such
this
a
next week I might
pain.
be able to. I've been really busy that, but I will get there. And for anybody, whether you are watching live on Twitch or on YouTube later, I really do appreciate you. So thank you so much, and thank you, Ceci, for taking time out of your busy schedule to be
Of
here.
course. Thank you for having me. And I think I'd like to raid Nelly and Grits. She's playing. What's she playing? Cave Story. Cave Story.
Ooh,
Cave Story.
very fun. Well,
Yeah, I love Cave Story.
for the
It's
raid
such a good
mission,
game.
just say Ceci sent us.
Okay.
And I don't actually have any emotes of my own, so if you have some of Ceci's, you can use that, or just use a universal emote, whether the purple heart or anything else that you find fun. Maybe one of the dancing dinosaurs, who knows? But
Yeah, that little dancing dinosaur
yeah,
comes in clutch.
it's been nice to finally have a couple of universal animated emotes. They're very nice.
Yeah, there he is. Look at him go.
That's the cryptid, the dancing dino.
He has schmoves. I like
He
him.
does. I was very disturbed. They did a different version of that for, I think, Godzilla Day or something. And it
Oh.
was just, I was very worried that they were actually going to make it a long-term change. Fortunately, it wasn't, because it was, it was not as cute as this.
Oh, okay.
But again, thank you so much to everyone who tuned in, and thank you, Ceci. I'm Jay. This is Vtuber Talk. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you all next time. Oh, and thank you
Yeah.
to, I gotta say it again, don't I? Big Hat Token, High Lord Bolner.
Boulder, yeah.
Thank you so much for the follow. Glad you had a good time. Have a good evening, everyone. See you all next time. Bye.
Goodbye.